What is up, RotoGrinders? 3.5 hours nonstop NFL DFS conversation starts right now. We've made it to double digits. We're in the back end of the season. It is week 11. Week 11 is when weather starts to becoming a thing. I'll go ahead and drop Chief Meteorologist Kevin Ross weather report in chat. I presume he will update this at some point as we close in on kickoff. But yeah, there are 4 games to various degrees of colors and diciness. It's 15 to 20 miles per hour wind. It's mostly wind. Orange, yellow in Pittsburgh. It's straight orange for the Giants in Green Bay. Jameis Winston has the not a very soft landing spot against the Green Bay defense. Not a lot of players to throw the football to. And you know what? Gusts will be between 30 and 40 miles per hour, a bit higher early than late for what it's worth. Orange, yellow in Buffalo. Wind should be close to 20 mile per hour state sustained. Gusts averaging around 35 miles per hour. There's a chance of some rain or snow showers. But currently, Roth has it. He's expecting it to be dry, or at least mostly dry. Orange in Cleveland with 25 mile per hour winds. Wind gust in the 30 to 35 mile per hour range. So, yeah, just something to be aware of. 7 games early, 4 games late. Dolphin game kicking off right now in Spain. Myself, Dean Shavelson, joined by the other parts of the People's Show. We got restaurateur Bobby Gomes, $4 million winner, as well as TastefulTides, former restaurateur. Am I saying that word? That's a tricky word for me to say. I don't know why I'm trying to say it twice. I think I nailed it the first time. It's Bobby Gomes. What's up, Bobby? Happy Sunday.
What's up, Dino?
What's going on?
Nice Sunday morning. It's getting cold here, and as Tim will tell you guys all in a sec, when it gets cold in New England, you know, people start getting the flu starts going around, stuff like that. So that's been going around my house pretty much all week. And I've been dodging all the landmines, you know, taking all the necessary precautions. All the kids have been sick. Girlfriend was kind of sick under the weather one day, and yeah, but I know it's going to get me eventually. Hopefully not anytime soon.
Are you quarantined right now, currently, for the next hour and a half at least?
I've been trying to like a hazmat suit probably wouldn't get the job done when you have 3 kids, you know. I've been taking every precaution possible. My son woke up the other day and had the stomach bug and was just he went to the bathroom and just started throwing up by himself. And I'm like, oh, I don't want that. You know?
Sorry to hear that. That doesn't sound fun.
No. But I had to go in there and like help him like throw up, but I didn't want to. You know, there was a part of me that was like, he could do it himself, you know? It's only 3.
Yeah. That's the worst feeling when it's there's not completely helpless, nothing you can do. Tim, I think you're a little bit, you're also in that Maine area. Well, in Maine, I won't dox you. I won't give the exact, codes and the digits and the longitude and the latitude. I know you're off the grid, but you're also in the New England area. I guess it's chilly up there as well. Hopefully, I guess you're kind of powering through as well as it's caught the Tim household.
Yeah, I'm actually really, really sick right now. So yeah, I'm just I was definitely questionable this morning. I almost removed myself from the show, but I decided to power through because it's only so many more weeks of NFL, so we got to get fired up here. We were talking pre-show. We don't really love this slate, but I think it's okay, and it's like we're gonna miss football when it's gone, so we got to power through today.
Yeah, we're complaining today, but we're gonna miss. Oh my God, I can't! Right. I get to play Michael Wilson. Life couldn't get any better.
When your GPP pivots are Greg Dortch, like you basically you have to unload the bankroll on days like today.
Arizona triples. Who doesn't want that? So there's dicey weather. There's not one quarterback I really want to play. There's a lot of cheap ones that I'm willing to play. They won't accept the lineup if you just don't put a quarterback in there. There's not necessarily like. I'm curious to hear you guys. There's no cheap receivers, right? So there's no cheap receivers I like. There's no like quarterbacks in general that I like. I like some expensive receivers, but it's hard to make them work. We all want to play JSN. We like Chase. We like Nakua, sure, but we do live in a world with salary cap, so it's going to make things a little bit dicey. No Achane on this slate, no Jonathan Taylor on this slate. So I guess CMC is the top dog when it comes to running backs, but I don't know if it's the greatest spot in the world. Two good defenses facing off, two good offenses. But that is also, in the late game window, the 4-gamer, we have, San Fran and Arizona, one of the bigger totals on the board. One of the few games where, well, I shouldn't say one of the few games, but weather is just not an issue, right? We're in a dome. We don't have to worry about wind or precipitation or snow flurries or anything of that sort. So like the Seattle Rams game, the 49ers Arizona game, both in the late window. We got Kansas City back on the slate, but they're also in a tough spot against Denver and Mile High. Two good defenses there squaring off. I know it's KC coming off a bye. Lamar Jackson in a game that has a 38.5 total. Like that feels like that's not something we see very often. But again, dicey weather. And also be fair, part of the excuse there is because the Browns are only anticipating 15.5 points is their team total. So they're not necessarily carrying their weight when it comes to the 38.5 on the board. But yeah, we're going to go game by game. No, we're not. We're not going to go game by game. We're going to go, we'll do it by tiers. We'll throw them in our tiers. Some rematches as well. Like we're going to see the Bengals take on the Steelers once again. Flacco keeping that seat warm. If the Bengals keep winning, if they still have a chance, so we might see Joe, back soon enough as far as Flacco being gone and Burrow being back. The Jameis Winston era is upon us here for the Giants. He's excited. He wants to eat a W.
Dino,
what's up?
Who would you rather have the next 10 years?
Yeah,
Burrow,
Drake May,
or Drake May?
Yeah, I knew the question.
Yep.
How old is Burrow? 28, 29?
28-ish. Yeah.
I think it's Drake May.
I think it's Drake May too.
Are we considering the rookie contract? Because that obviously matters too, like for a couple of years at least.
No, in a vacuum. No contract. If you just had it between the two of them.
Does TJ have the ability to make polls? I'm just going to tell TJ because I know TJ has the ability to make polls. Let's make a poll for the people. Hey, what's up, chat? Hit that like button. Do subscribe. Turn on those notifications. Are we prisoners of the moment? Or is the answer – I think the answer is Drake May.
I think it's Drake May too.
He's 22.
How old is Burrow?
28? Maybe 29? I'm going to Google.
He knows all the ages.
So Drake May is 23. Burrow, I think the answer is Drake May. You said 10 years, right?
Yeah, next 10 years.
Burrow is age 28. He'll turn 29 in December. So, yeah, maybe we can get a poll going. Let's see what the chat has to say as they're hitting the like button.
I think it's got to be May.
I mean, it's. I'm not one of these. I'm not a big fandom guy, but it's kind of not fair. You had Brady for 20 years, and now you had a couple of down years. Mac Jones. It was disappointing. It was miserable there in New England, but you found the next guy for the next 10 years already. Like that was pretty quick. So shout out to the Patriots. Good for them. But yeah, he looks legit. I thought you were gonna say like Jaden Daniels. Like he's obviously he wasn't.
No, I was talking about the best quarterback from that class.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the answer is May. We do have a poll going on in chat, and the early results are, it's very early, Drake May. So the people want Drake May as well. Okay, Tim, you got to tell me what's going on with cash games today. It's really – I mean, so like – Trey McBride, you have to play him, right, in cash games? Like, there's no exceptions?
There's no exceptions. That was going to be my very first guy that I brought up, actually, Dean, because I always like to give out, 3 or 4 plays that I consider must-haves. And Trey McBride was definitely going to be number one on both FanDuel and DK. You absolutely have to play him.
Okay. So quarterback, it's gross, right? I think it's depending on where you're shopping because Purdy's really cheap. Purdy's back, by the way, for San Fran, and he's got all his weapons too. I think they're as healthy as they've been since the start of the season. San Francisco, we're expecting Pearsall to be back also. Pearsall, Jennings, Kittle, CMC in that game with Arizona. So he's just underpriced on FanDuel. Brissett, the other side of that game, projects pretty well. Of course, Harrison's out, but that's also opening the door for players like Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch. And I've learned the name Xavier Weaver this week. I don't know if he's going to play football or not or catch any footballs, but he's at least, in theory, a potential cheapie. J.J. McCarthy is another cheapie in a dome. Good matchup against Chicago. Do you have any hard stands on that, or is it just? And it also probably FanDuel DK a little bit different because I think Purdy. I'm pretty sure Purdy's the FanDuel guy.
Yeah, I mean, Purdy definitely can be the FanDuel guy. I don't think it's horrible if you save 300 and play JJ McCarthy at 6,800 on FanDuel either. So it's basically between those two. Yes, I would definitely side with Purdy on the FanDuel side, but I think it's pretty close. And if you really need that $300, I think it's okay if you go JJ McCarthy. Like JJ McCarthy is showing up in quite a few optimals I'm seeing kind of around the industry. So I don't think it's horrible to play JJ McCarthy, but I am leaning Brock Purdy on FanDuel. On both sites, Jaylen Warren, fantastic matchup against the Bengals. So I think he's a core play on both sites. DK Michael Wilson. And then I think the value piece that you're getting more on FanDuel than you are on DK, although you can play him on DK, is RJ Harvey. But RJ Harvey's 5,800 on FanDuel. So I really do like him over here quite a bit. I mean, so many of these DK teams are Brissett triples. And that's so wild. I think you can play Brissett in cash. He's still really, really cheap, and there's so many skill players that we want to pay up for. We talked about Trey McBride already, but I mean, there's the whole conversation that we seem to have every week now. It's Puka Nacua, JSN, or CMC, and I think that's really going to be the huge decision point of the slate. I was surprised that CMC's not in the blitz optimal because usually the blitz is super high on CMC. It's currently jamming in, wants you to jam in Puka and JSN. I think I'm going CMC over Puka, and my premium wide receiver is going to be JSN. I think that's what I'm going to be doing, but it's obviously super close. So I would, though, out of those three, I'd go JSN, CMC, and Puka.
Yeah, I also really like, the absence of P. Ryan. We saw it last week. Chase Brown played basically every single snap. He caught a bunch of passes. Good matchup there against Pittsburgh and Warren on the other side. So that's one reason why I wouldn't necessarily feel like I have to get up to CMC, because I think Brown is a really good play. I think Warren's a really good play. Aaron Jones, especially on FanDuel, seems a little underpriced as well. And he seems to have taken that job, more piece of the pie of late since coming back from injury. You mentioned the Harvey thing. If you guys missed it, Dobbins, of course, is out. Man, my Knights could have used RJ Harvey yesterday. Wouldn't have helped, but man, they got absolutely shellacked, losing by like 40 or so. It's been a tough season for your Knights. Bobby, you want anything else as far as big picture when it comes to this slate? Do you care about this win stuff? Is it all kind of baked in? Are you concerned about it? Do you have your eye on totals? We've seen some totals dip throughout the week, on these games. It's all kind of baked in now, but and it is interesting, like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, just kind of getting ignored in this slate. I know, the funds are tight, so it's hard to spend up for quarterbacks, but those guys obviously have a slate-breaking potential, and they're just not going to really get played a heck of a lot. Any overarching thoughts, Bobby, before we kind of do our little tiers list?
I'm avoiding the weather games pretty much. I was under the impression that JJ McCarthy was going to be someone who's going to be the cash game QB going up against this Bears defense.
He will be. He's in the mix.
Yeah, he will definitely will be. I think it's going to be a split between.
But I think,
go ahead.
I think it's going to flip to Brissett. I think that's pretty much what Tim was saying. Would you play Brissett in cash?
Yeah, I mean he's still under 5K, and the matchup is fantastic. I mean, I know that he's missing Harrison, but it doesn't really matter. He's still got Trey McBride, so I mean, yeah, you definitely can play Brissett in cash.
Yeah, I think it's pretty spread out at quarterback. The mid-range wide receiver on the slate isn't the greatest. Like, you're paying up or you're paying down. I don't really love the running back plays. Like, you talked about Jaylen Warren. I think he's good. Chase Brown should be able to see the majority of the usage in this situation. So he's someone I like a good bit. Spending up to McCaffrey, I feel like, is not that I won't do it. I'll definitely do it, but I think it's relatively a mistake on this slate. like, I think he's just the natural guy people are going to get up to. And, like, I really like Nakua and Chase and the wide receivers. And I think there's some pretty good running back. Not great running back value. Like, there's not really any standout running back plays to me. It's kind of thin as well. But, like, a guy like Jacobs at 7,800, I think I'd rather
30 touches, against the Giants.
I think I'd just rather save the money than play CMC at 9K. I know that's probably not the optimal play in cash, but I think it's interesting, especially with, like Dean just kind of said, he's going to get all the touches in a weather game, in a game where Jameis is probably going to make some mistakes. They're going to work with some short fields. So,
yeah. Are we doing Jameis and Green Bay defense? Are we doing that correlation?
I'm trying not to play Jameis if I don't have to.
I know it's one lineup with him on FanDuel just because he's like 1,000 cheaper than everybody on FanDuel. But I assume it's going to lose.
If he hits my stuff at 4,600, like, it's fine. Green Bay is tough. They pose a lot of issues for a guy like Jameis. I'm not like the pass rush is elite, right? And then the secondary is pretty stingy, so I could see Jameis throwing a few picks. Yeah.
Are you doing any rules? I saw a couple questions in chat. Are you playing Chase Brown and Jalen Warren together in the same lineup? Or are you just completely fading both those running backs?
I don't get that. Yeah, of course you can. Why can't you? There's negative correlation because they're in the same. That's a Bobby question, but I don't care personally, but that's a Bobby question, I assume.
I have not, of all my teams with Jalen Warren, 9% of them have Chase Brown. So yeah, you can definitely play it. I don't think that's as big of a deal. They both catch passes, right? So it's not like there are two running backs that don't catch passes and rely purely on rushing equity. So yeah.
Yeah, and then Brown, again, the backup running back today for Cincinnati is Taj Brooks, who's on a lot of my terrible best ball teams. It's like my 18th round pick, and I don't know if he's done anything all season long, but yeah, and Warren, certainly looks really, really good, and he can catch passes as well. It's Superstar Sunday. You guys almost forgot. Superstar Sunday. You can win yourself a week free of RG Premium. How do you do that? You tell me what Superstar I'm talking about in the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord. A live stream chat channel, the first clue for Superstar Sunday. You guys ready? In the private chat only. Do not, don't ruin it for the people. You guys on YouTube, don't guess. You can guess on YouTube, but it doesn't count. Only official guesses in the Discord channel. Space is the first clue for today's Superstar. Let me know what Superstar I'm talking about. Get in that Discord channel. You get yourself a week free of RG Premium. Not just football, but it's all the sports. Football, baseball, basketball, hockey, NBA, PGA, WNBA, whenever they're all in season. All right. Everything with the exception of NASCAR. NASCAR is its own thing. A la carte. Let's dive in. Let's do our tiers. Tim, we actually did this a week or two ago. We just kind of never really completed it. We kind of just left it there. We moved on to something else, but me and you kind of worked this out, and I recycled it because it was Matthew McConaughey's birthday a couple weeks ago or so, and so I did power rank McConaughey movies, and I think we did. I think I left the list we actually came up with. So let me know in chats what is
you poo-pooed my list.
Well, because you put all the downers on there. Like he's done a lot of.
Are we not allowed to have downers on a list?
Well, I mean, 9:30 in the morning on a Sunday, like you just A Time to Kill it's a good movie, but it's like it's not. And also, I didn't count. I think what I did is I overrode Tropic Thunder. He's like he doesn't really star. He's in it, but yeah. And Wolf of Wall Street. He's in it, but I didn't count those two because he's not in it enough. And I know you insisted on Magic Mike. You're going to be upset, but Magic Mike did not make the cut. That's unfortunate, but you can only put so many movies on the board. That's just how that goes. But let me know in chat. Bobby, do you have a favorite Matthew? Matthew McConaughey, right?
Yeah.
What's your favorite Matthew McConaughey movie?
Probably it's not a good movie, but Two for the Money. It's probably Two for the Money. Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny, Bobby, that actually is a relevant comment. That is a relevant comment because we rank 1 through 5 and 3 is in the middle, right? And maybe a movie like Two for the Money, which is objectively not great, but also
it's not good. Yeah.
It's a fun movie, though. It's a fun movie.
Fun movie, yeah.
John Anthony is the character he plays. He's a sports tout. It kind of fits the whole conversation. Yeah, Dallas Buyers Club, another movie that's not an upper, Tim. That's not a fun movie, Dallas Buyers Club.
Dallas Buyers Club was good, though, right?
It's a good movie, but it's not. It's also not something you want to watch a bunch of times, I don't think.
No, yeah, it's definitely not. Yeah.
TJ is touting How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, of course. Not a big. What about The Wedding Planner? The Wedding Planner doesn't make the board for you, TJ. I did have to put a spot there for one of his romantic comedies. He had that window.
The Wedding Planner's with J-Lo, correct?
Wedding Planner was J-Lo. Yeah, that is correct. Yeah.
I was reading something really interesting just yesterday, and that's why How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days popped into my head. Because we were, we've been talking on the show recently about how there's just not really any movie stars anymore, right? Like there's very few. There's the Glenn Powells, Timothy Chalamets, Michael B. Jordans, not that many though. And it was interesting how they were talking about how all the like great actors right now just seem to want to be Oscar chasing and things like that. Nobody's starring in any rom-coms anymore. So we don't have any Matthew McConaughey's. We don't have any Hugh Grants anymore because there used to be these A-list actors that would just do everything. And now that's not really the case anymore.
Glenn Powell did that romantic comedy with what's her name? Sydney Sweeney.
He's the exception right now.
Yeah.
He's got range. Glenn Powell's got range.
Yes. I didn't watch it. I know he was on SNL last night too. So I assume he did well, but I couldn't tell you. Did not get a chance to watch it just yet. But all right, let's go ahead. Let's get the board a reveal. A lot of people mentioning a lot of movies that happen to crack the top five. Might need a little bit of a zoom in, or maybe that's just me, TJ. Can you guys see that? Can you guys see the board? I don't know if it's we can zoom in just a tick, but it's a little bit tricky. I'll make my screen bigger, but I know what it is. I just want to make sure that people can read it. But Interstellar hits the number one spot for me. Christopher Nolan, absolute classic. I think Tim did insist on he wasn't. I was joking about Magic Mike, but he did insist on Dazed and Confused. Tim was a big Dazed and Confused, which, by the way, I broke my rule. He's barely in Dazed and Confused. I don't know. I had this rule for Tropic Thunder and Wolf of Wall Street. He's barely in that movie, Dazed and Confused, but I guess it snuck past the goalie. As Bobby mentioned, two for the money. Al Pacino, Matthew McConaughey is a betting tout. Somehow he's this great betting sharp because he played a little bit of college football. That was his end goal. I don't know if you guys. He's the guy. I played a little college, little quarterback. I know everything. I know the ins and the outs.
Sounds just like Bobby.
He runs a 4.2 just like Bobby.
He definitely runs a 4.2 just like Bobby.
Tier 4, I went Ghosts of Girlfriends Past, which is another one of his. You could shuffle them up and change the names. You wouldn't know the difference, I suppose. I can't remember who the female lead in that one was, but I don't think it was very good. Not very memorable. And Tiptoes is terrible, but also something you absolutely need to see. You absolutely must see Tiptoes. It cannot be described. Watch the trailer. It's insane. I've
never seen the bottom two of these. I don't even think I've heard of them.
I've never heard of them either. What is
Tiptoes is amazing. It's terrible, but it's like, the unintentional comedy scale. It is Peter Dinklage is in it, Kate Beckinsale. It is got a great cast, and it feels like a fake movie. Like if you see the trailer, you think it's like an SNL movie, like a fake movie. But I recommend it, even though it's terrible, if that makes sense. Let me know in chat if anybody's seen Tiptoes, because it is terrible but awesome at the same time. All right, we gotta. Oh, Tim won the coin toss backstage, Bobby. I don't know if you were present for that or not.
Wins it every week.
He did win the coin toss backstage.
There's something going on there. Yeah.
So Tim's gonna go first. The first game we're gonna talk about, it's the Packers, the Giants. 42.5 is the total. We mentioned Jameis is back. Jameis is quarterbacking the Giants. Their team total is less than 18. Roth is telling us there's going to be some wind here. Gusts will be between 30 and 40 miles per hour, 20 mile per hour standard, maybe dipping below that a bit late in the game. This is just the forecast. This stuff can change, but just kind of keep an eye on it. The total, I believe, in this game has dipped by a couple points. The problem with the Packers is, like, when they're not pushed, they're probably just going to, like Bobby said, like Jacobs is just going to, 7-point favorite, terrible run defense of the Giants. They're probably just going to shove it down their throats. But, Yeah, Green Bay and the Giants. Green Bay, embarrassing loss. I think didn't they have an embarrassing loss last week? I forget. I lose track of the games. I think that was the game where they scored 7 versus Philadelphia. Does that sound about right? The Monday night disaster.
Yeah.
Tim?
They lost to the Panthers the week before that too.
Yeah, that was the other one. Yeah. They are sputtering a bit, but it does feel like a get right spot. But it also feels like a spot where maybe the Giants don't push them, and Love is just sort of like, managing them to a victory here. But where are we putting the Packers and the Giants, Tim?
Giants are really, really easy. They're going to go in the tiptoes tier. I don't have any interest in stacking them. I don't mind getting to some Wan'Dale Robinson, but that would really be it. Like Dean said earlier in the show, this is a really, really hard landing spot for Jameis Winston. Like, I know that he can be a gunslinger and he can put up big games, but I think this is a really, really bad spot here. So outside of Wan'Dale, really no interest in the Giants. Packers, the thing about the Packers, like we just talked about, they tend to play down to their competition, and so I want to play Josh Jacobs at 7,800. I think he's a fantastic play, but I'm just not getting to any Jordan Love here. Romeo Dobbs' projection is pretty strong. I've heard him being talked about a little bit across the industry this week, so I'm a little bit worried he's going to get ownership. But just due to how bad the Giants' defense is, and the Packers should do pretty well here. So I'm going to put the Packers in the 2 for the money tier, but I'm not really playing too heavily into Jordan Love. It's mostly just going to be Josh Jacobs for me. I do think Josh Jacobs is even more interesting on FanDuel, where he's like I think he's 91 or 9K. So I think he makes for a really strong GPP play over there.
I know it's Bobby's turf, but I don't mind pairing Jacobs with Green Bay defense as well. A little bit of correlation. Jameis could, as fun as he is, this could be, things can really implode here. And he really doesn't have much to work with as well. Losing Slayton, and his second receiver is Hodgkins, Jalen Hyatt, Gunnar
Olszewski.
Former Patriot, right? Was he a Patriot?
Former Patriot, yep.
But did he not do receiver things? He did other things, right? I guess. Was he like a special teams guy? Am I making that up?
He was a special teams guy, yeah. Slot receiver.
Yeah. Just not a lot to work with here for Jameis.
He's been targeted recently, and he's been on the field for the Giants for what it's worth, in passing roles, Olszewski, but he's terrible. So
is there, you don't have to, would he be the pick amongst Hodgkins and Hyatt, or it's just not even worth having the conversation?
No, not even worth having the conversation. I would take Hyatt just in GPP formats. Jameis throws it deep. The issue is the wind, which is why I'm not I don't really love Jameis at all in terms of, or any, why even play any of his pieces. I think we kind of hit on it with Green Bay. I'm in agreement with Tim. I would put Green Bay in 2 for the money, Giants in tiptoes. Josh Jacobs and Romeo Dobbs, I think, are good pieces on the slate, but they're in terms of stacking and getting to Jordan Love, really have no interest. You could play Josh Jacobs with the Packers D. The issue is Packers D's 3,600, Josh Jacobs 7,800, so it's eating up a lot of your salary cap. And then from there, I think Christian Watson and large field stuff instead of Dobbs, but there was really, I don't love the Packers. They're just filling pieces. The wide receivers are mainly the wide receivers super thin, so I feel like Romeo and Christian Watson are just making the pool for that reason. But with the weather being what it is, it kind of knocks them down for me relative to all the other guys like Wilson or George. You know what I mean? I'd rather get to the Arizona guys for sure.
I know both you guys are playing a little bit sick, a little bit hurt this game. I'm going to be rattled the entire show because we got a bink, we got a hole in one.
Oh my word!
I'm very upset. I don't like it when people hole in one. I knew there was a slight risk that Sony might catch on what I was doing, but we're going to play it out. We're going to play it out as far as today's Superstar Sunday, but we did get a hole in one from Gregorius the Wise in the Discord channel. But this one's set up so well if we got past the first one. The second clue is morning. We'll play it along for fun, The space and morning. Morning was the second clue, but I'm going to be rattled. I don't like it when the people hit it in one. although I'm impressed. I tipped the cap, but I'm upset. So, Bobby, you moved nothing, right? No challenges here? You moved
no
nothing?
No challenges. Yeah.
Okay. Bobby, you got to set the stage for the Bengals. The Bengals at Pittsburgh, 48.5 is the total. Two of the oldest quarterbacks in the league, both 40-year-olds. They're both men. Flacco versus Aaron Rodgers. We talk about liking both these running backs here, Warren and Chase Brown at the top. Of course, Jamar Chase if you have some salary. One thing that the Bengals have done well is shutting down wide receiver ones, and Rebar was pointing that out on our Pick Six show on Wednesday night. And in Metcalf, he's their one, I guess, but he's not really done anything in a while, it seems like. Trying to predict which tight end's going to get there for Pittsburgh, good luck, but one theoretically should get there. Yeah, Bobby, how do you feel about the Steelers and the Bengals? Steelers are 6-point favorites here at home. Orange yellow. Roth is this game orange yellow with some wind for what it's worth. What do you got?
Yeah, the weather kind of throws a wrench in everything for me. Sustained winds 15 to 20 miles, gusts likely to 30, 35 miles an hour. Yeah, that kind of hurts where I want to put these guys. I still like pieces like the full stack with Flacco, Chase Brown, Jamar Chase. I don't know if I'm going to be playing that as much, but definitely high on Chase Brown in the passing game from a running back perspective. I am bullish on Brown for the rest of the season. And Jamar Chase just caught 19 passes versus this Pittsburgh team like 3 weeks ago. So I have to put Cincy and Dazed and Confused. That might be high, but it's more just those two players being exceptional for me, even with the weather. So I'm pushing Cincy up towards Dazed and Confused. Pittsburgh, I feel like if the weather wasn't as bad, I'd be more on this Pittsburgh stack, especially Rodgers being that paying down and looking for value pivots. Flacco's 5,500. Rodgers, what's Rodgers' price?
54.
He's 5,400. So they're interesting pivots off the chalkier QBs. The issue is mainly the weather. Jaylen Warren, I think, is a very strong play, probably the strongest running back play on the slate. From the wide receiver position, they don't really have much. DK Metcalf's fine at 5,700. I still think the way he's played, he could be a little bit cheaper. Calvin Austin, 4K. He's going to be in that mix of Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch and guys that people are going to consider. I like Calvin Austin, I think I'd also prefer the Arizona guys over him. And then the tight ends. This was the best matchup for tight ends in the league. Pat Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith. They also throw it to that. Who's the big guy there? I forget. Washington. There's really 3 tight ends there. I'm putting Pittsburgh in 2 for the money because there's some good plays there, but nothing spectacular. The stack might have been better for tournaments if the wind wasn't what it was. And yeah.
How much would you pay for Pittsburgh tight end, Bobby? Pittsburgh tight end. You get them all.
Yeah, I get them all. That's the issue. I don't want to play a double-headed backfield, let alone a triple-headed tight end.
As one position, I'm saying. You get them all in one position. I'm just hypothetically. It's not something they offer. I'm just asking as a hypothetical, just for fun.
I'd probably play 2 of them.
No, you're not understanding, Mike.
I'd say 4,800.
I would pay that. I would pay more than that. You get all 3 for 4,800. Yeah.
It's just the weather, Dean, that makes me.
Go get the 5-yard catches.
Yeah,
I think 7K.
Yeah,
really, I wouldn't pay 7K.
How
They'll probably have 10 catches and a touchdown or 2 between them.
Yeah. All 3 of them scored touchdowns in the last slate, right? On that showdown slate versus the Bengals. I don't think that's going to happen again, but
probably not. But as a collective, I think they're But I don't know if Metcalf's going to get there, and then it falls off pretty quickly with Wilson and Austin, Skowronek. It's pretty ugly.
I'm pretty positive Metcalf's the worst receiver to pair with Aaron Rodgers, the type of receiver.
Did you do a deep dive on Aaron Rodgers by chance?
No, he doesn't stink, Dean. He doesn't stink. He doesn't.
This version of him. This version of him kind of stinks.
Have you watched? It's just it's such a joy to be able to watch him throw.
He's a Hall of Famer. He's had a great career. Good for him.
No, but this is like he's such a good thrower of the football, right?
Yeah.
Like the motion.
But any hint of any pressure, and he's bailing out.
Well, he's not as fast as he once was. That's for sure.
Well, not like you. You're just still one of the 4-2 these days, right? Tim, we have Pittsburgh in 2 for the money, and the Bengals in tier 2 with Dazed and Confused. Any issues?
I really want to bring the Steelers up 1. Yeah, I'm going to put the Steelers up 1 tier. They're projected to play the most amount of plays on the slate. I think you can play Rodgers. I ran Sims for the show. I'm getting into a ton of Flacco and Rodgers here. I do agree with Bobby, though. It's kind of hard to know who to pair Rodgers with. That's like the only kind of issue that I'm having. But I think you can pair him with Jalen Warren, and obviously you can pair him with DK Metcalf and or one of those tight ends that we were talking about. So I just really love this game. I love getting to both sides of this game. So I think that only the weather is preventing me from putting both these teams in the top tier. So I'm going to put the Steelers in the Dazed and Confused tier.
He's also like the worst kind of quarterback to play by himself, right, Rodgers? So
yeah, you're not going to be playing a naked Aaron Rodgers.
I'm going to agree with Bobby. Point for Bobby. I just don't like Aaron Rodgers.
I knew that's what it was going to come down to, though. I knew I was going to get that point, and I knew it was Dean's bias towards not liking Aaron Rodgers. That was going to give me.
I like fantasy points, and he doesn't score them. That's my bias. In the year 2025, he's not a reliable source of fantasy points. Even in like the one game he actually did something, he didn't really do anything. I think it was actually against Cincinnati? Is this the one game where he actually had a pretty solid output?
He had a good game the first week, which was 10 weeks ago.
Okay. He's older now, right? I think he's older.
He's having a good year. I don't think he's having like this horrific year.
I mean, gets nothing with his legs. He did put up 24 against Cincinnati previously, and he did put up 25 week 1 against the Jets. So, I guess if it's going to happen again, it probably would happen against Cincinnati. But, Bobby, you get the point. Tim, game 3, it's the Texans. Am I going to say the same thing I say about the Texans every single week? I am. I am going to say the same thing I say about the Texans every single week. Their offense is inept, so they don't do anything as far as moving the ball. Their defense is really good, so they don't give a lot of fantasy points. And what do you know it? 37.5, the lowest total on the board. Now, sure, that is helped out by the Titans on the other side, who are also even more horrific, especially offensively. Yeah, Tim, it's an 11-game slate. It is an 11-game slate. The Texans and the Titans are playing. This is what's most popular here is probably defenses. Calvin Ridley is expected to play football today. We may have seen Woody Marks officially take over for Chubb, which makes a lot of sense. He did start last week for what it's worth. I know starting is not really a thing in football, but for running back, yeah, kind of a thing, but not really. It seems like he's overtaken Nick Chubb. So I think Marks is in the mix. But Davis Mills, one more time around. I think he was the QB1 last week, if I'm not mistaken.
I was going to say he won. I think he won the Millie.
Davis Mills. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
I thought it was a Tampa Bay double or triple.
Oh, you're right. It was a Baker triple. That's right. Yeah, but he did have a fantastic game. Yeah. So Tennessee's really easy. We're just going to put Tennessee in the tiptoes tier. Houston. I do love Woody Marks a ton here. He's probably going to be my single entry team. He's not going to be in my cash game team just because there's other really quality, safer running backs. But Woody Marks, I absolutely love here. So he's one of my favorite GPP running backs. I also love Nico Collins here, like a lot. He's shown some really good chemistry with Davis Mills. He's under 7K. Like I know this is a bad matchup in terms of game total, but I think Nico Collins is going to be kind of forgotten here. So just because I think he's going to be a little bit underowned, I think Woody Marks is going to be a little bit underowned as well. I am going to put Houston in that middle tier. Outside of those two guys, though, I don't really have much interest in Houston.
All right, Bobby. Any adjustments? We got Houston in 2 for the money, and we have the Titans in tier 5.
No adjustments. I think it's I like the breakdown by Tim. I will say, like, Davis Mills prior to, like, CJ Stroud becoming the Texans franchise QB. He played at Stanford. He's a good quarterback. I think at 4,500, you could play some Davis Mills on the slate. Obviously, he had the 26-point fourth quarter last week. But I think he's competent, and Tim hit on it. Like, he has a great rapport, Nico Collins. I think they're definitely in play for tournaments. This Texans set versus Tennessee, who can't stop anyone.
I would have put them in the 4 hole officially, but you guys are not disagreeing, and you have Texans in tier 3, which is fine. But since you guys both agree, we can just scoot along.
Did Bobby give his take on Woody Marks? Are you getting to any Woody Marks, Bobby?
Yeah, I'm getting to Woody Marks. I think Woody Marks is perfectly fine. 5,400 for Woody Marks. Like, I like him better than Travis Etienne, who's going to be much more owned, I would imagine. And it is only 200 more.
Jones is 5.5. Like him more than Jones. Basically the same price.
I don't think I like him more than Jones, but
I don't either.
Aaron Jones seems like he's in such a good spot this week, and everything's kind of trending in that backfield towards him being the guy. I will say this, like, it seems like with the Houston backfield that everything's trending towards Woody Marks being the guy, and he has to worry about Nick Chubb, where Aaron Jones has to worry about Jordan Mason, who's a lot better than Nick Chubb at this point. So if you wanted to if you wanted to play more Woody Marks than Aaron Jones, I think you could, but I think Aaron Jones is a better play personally.
Yeah, Mason, they paid for a free. He hasn't been good for what it's worth. Mason's been bad of late, but yeah,
he hasn't been good, but he's better than what Woody Marks is competing with.
Sure.
Nick Chubb, right? Like,
yeah,
the whatever Nick Chubb is at this.
You
point.
actually might be able to outrun. I know we joke about your 40. You might be able to outrun Nick Chubb, possibly, maybe, probably not, but all right,
no, probably not. I can beat a 4.68. I can beat a 4.68.
I want to bet the over.
No doubt in my mind, I can beat a 4.68.
We got to get the DK Sportsbook or FanDuel or somebody to put that in the board because I want to hit that over so hard. By the way, Barnburner.
Over so hard and ladder it with the pulled hamstring.
An ACL exacta box. Dolphins 3-3 second quarter over there in Spain. They are driving. They're at the 17 for those that care. Do you guys do the showdown stuff today? Did we dabble in showdown streets or anything with the Washington?
No. How's that game going?
3-3. You know, it's the top of the second quarter. Miami is in the red zone for what it's worth there. Nothing terribly exciting just yet. No touchdown.
I hate these showdown Europe games. I'm not a fan.
What does it matter? Like, you need a 12th game on the slate?
No, it's just like, I don't know. I would like to get some action now, but I'm not going to wake up and play at 9 a.m.
You were up?
Yeah, it was up to the show.
Yeah. I mean, I you know, it makes sense as far as schedule. I mean, obviously, if they're in the West Coast, they're probably not up for this, but in the globalization of the game, I understand why they're doing it. It makes a lot of sense for marketing and all that kind of stuff. I wonder if the players like it. I don't know if the players like it.
No, they definitely hate it. There's no way they like it.
Yeah, we'll talk about Atlanta in a second, but it's very strange that Atlanta chose not to take their bye if they're coming back from Germany. I'm 99% sure, like, you have the choice. Like, when you go overseas, you can take your bye afterwards. You can kind of line it up that way. You can let them know while they make the schedule. And Atlanta played in Germany last week, and they're going to be on the schedule today. So
Morris isn't. I don't know. I don't know if
it's his decision, somebody's decision in the organization.
Yeah,
but
you figure the coach would have input, though, right?
You would think so. I don't know, but who knows? Maybe it's Arthur Blank. The score is Bobby 1-0. Oh, we'll give the people a third clue. We're just playing it out here because we got a binker. Gregorius the Wise binked it and won. I felt good about these clues today, too. All-nighter is clue number 3. Space, morning, and all-nighter. So morning, all-nighter, space. If you're still playing along there in the YouTube or just you haven't quite figured out what today's Superstar Sunday is. Bobby, the board is yours. It's the Chargers, the Jags, who gave up that lead to the Texans last week. Jacksonville is a 3-point dog here at home versus the Chargers. West Coast to East Coast, 1 o'clock game. We know they have offensive line issues. They are 3-point favorites here in Jacksonville. BTJ not available for the Jags. Do you want to write that one down? And Gadsden had a scare as far as his I think it was a leg earlier in the week, but he's good to go. Gadsden is good to go. So, all the weapons here for Herbert, with the exception of players that can actually block. But, he's got Allen, Johnston, McConaughey. I'm assuming Johnston's good to go as well. Unless he was questionable also, but I think he's fine. Bobby, Chargers, Jags, what do you got?
Yeah, Herbert to Gadsden's probably my favorite play in this game. That would be the stack. But I'm not necessarily in love with this spot. I think it makes sense for tournaments. You can get to a guy like McConaughey. You can get to a guy like Keenan Allen. Quentin Johnson always has upside, but they're not guys that I'm rushing to get over on. Kamani Vidal have no interest in playing. If he's whatever he is in terms of his ownership, I'll be significantly under it. Houston, I think I would put. Sorry, not Houston. The Chargers, I would put in. Shoot, I lost the screen. I'm going to put them in another team in 2 for the money. Just going to throw them in 2 for the money. Nothing that stands out to me a ton. Jacksonville have zero interest in. I don't want to play Travis Etienne if he's going to be chalky. I don't want to play Trevor Lawrence. Who else here? Jacoby Myers or Parker Washington. That doesn't seem great to choose from. 4,600 for Myers. Parker Washington's 5,100. I think Parker Washington's probably going to be somewhat owned. Don't love that.
Double dip last for the defense.
He has been good. He has been good. I don't really love it. Yeah. I don't know where I'd put the Jaguars in tiptoes. No interest really.
Bobby, we've done a deep dive on Trevor Lawrence. It might just be I
don't know. He's very, very bad. Yeah.
Out of the factory, he looks like he's got the height, he's got the build, he's got the arm. It's like this guy's gonna do it. And he just, for whatever reason, I don't know, the head.
I don't think he can read a defense. I think I don't want to remember that there was a primetime game where he let the clock run out 3 times. Are you not paying attention to you're at home and the play clock runs down on you 3 times versus the Chiefs? It was incredible to me. It might not all be there between the ears for Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, he looks like the guy. This is the guy I want. He's got that prototypical build and all that kind of stuff, but he can move, but something's not right. And what is this, year 5? What are we at now for Lawrence?
And he supposedly has this great offensive play caller.
Yeah, supposed genius. I don't know, man. Tim, we have the Jags in tier 5 and tiptoes, Chargers right in the middle. The tricky part, the Chargers for me, and I agree with Bobby, by the way. I don't think I'm going to have any Vidal today. If he has if he separates himself amongst those guys in the mid tier, I'm in trouble. I like Etienne a little bit more than Vidal if I'm going to pick one of these 2 running backs. Herbert, the tricky thing is I like Herbert. No offensive line, we know that. And also, who do you pair him with? Because McConaughey, Johnston, Allen, Gadsden all look like they have a shot to get there, different price points. What's your thoughts as far as the Chargers and the Jags?
I really like the Chargers here. I'm moving the Chargers up to the dazed and confused tier. I'm getting to a ton of Herbert and Sims. I'm getting to more Herbert than any other quarterback right now in Sims. I love Bobby's Gadsden call at 4,600. I think that's a fantastic play. I do like Ladd quite a bit. Keenan Allen's price is pretty interesting. He hasn't been as strong lately, but I think it's okay. The concern that I have mainly is, will they get pushed? Will Travis Etienne? Because I'm also getting to a ton of Travis Etienne, and so will that Jacksonville piece really deliver what the Sims are showing? That's my concern. That's just my own mental bias though. But I am gonna move Jacksonville up 1 to the ghosts of girlfriends past, just because I like this game quite a bit. I'm really considering playing Herbert in single entry right now, just because he's got an amazing rushing upside as well. So I think he's got a massive ceiling in this matchup.
Do you have a favorite target? Because I think Ladd's my favorite, but you got to pay.
Ladd is my favorite. I'm really leaning into double tight end builds this week, so most likely I'd be playing Gadsden if I do play Herbert in single entry. But if I kind of go a little bit different than what I'm currently building, it'll be Ladd.
Are the Sims giving you double tight ends?
It is really split between tight end and running back in terms of flex usage.
Bobby, you playing some double tight end this week?
Yeah, for sure. Just because McBride is like a pass catcher, right? So
I was going to say exactly.
Yeah.
If he was a receiver, how much more popular would he be at 6'3"? Like if you could play him at receiver, like he's already going to be ridiculously owned, but now you get to play three. You have to play three receivers.
I think he'd be. I think he'd be super popular because the mid range is so overpriced, right? So,
yeah, and also like you want the salary savings. That I like some of these tight ends, but I don't know if I want to play two of them necessarily because I think it hurts the rest of my lineup. But it does open things up as well. It's kind of an interesting little conundrum on this slate. I'm going to bring in TJ to make a ruling here because I'm divided. I'm divided in this. TJ, we had two adjustments by Tim. He moved the Jags up from 5 to 4, and he moved the Chargers from 3 to 2. And I just don't – I like the Chargers offense, but I don't know who the obvious pairing is. I don't know if we're going to get a run back. So that's my apprehension. Where are you, TJ? This is your ruling.
From a scoring standpoint, it's a little bit of a cop-out, but it's how I feel with the teams. I'm going to bring the Jaguars down to tiptoes, but I'm going to leave the Chargers up and dazed and confused because I do think they are a really good stack today. So one apiece.
If he had given Tim the Jaguars, I would have been fine with it. Like Parker Washington's in a pop for people. I just don't want any part of this Jaguars offense at all.
I'm totally okay with playing one player from the Jaguars. It's just not a stack for me.
Yeah.
All right. Next game up. Tim, you're setting the board for us. It's the Bears and the Vikings, one of the more popular games on the board. No weather issues. We're in a dome here. Minnesota 3-point favorite. J.J. McCarthy has played a good quarter of football in his NFL career. Justin Jefferson. We're waiting for it. We're getting a bit of a discount off of the other, the big three, I guess, Puka, Chase, and JSN. I know there was some smack talk about the Bears. He played them a couple weeks ago about one of the I don't recall the guy's name, but maybe don't poke the bear here. And Jefferson, Addison coming off a really big game for him. We talked about liking Aaron Jones a good bit. Caleb's had two really good games in his NFL career, right? And I think it was against Dallas and Cincinnati, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure that's the case. Just of note, if you kind of pull that up. 38, against the Giants. Against
he had a pretty good game against the Giants.
Yeah, okay. And he was pretty good against Minnesota week 1 as well, fantasy-wise. So he's had some good fantasy games. Had some stinkers as well. But maybe I'm discounting him just a little bit. But, he's had some good games against some bad teams. So we'll note that in a dome this week. Bears, Vikings, Tim, the board is yours.
Yeah, I'm not going to play either one of these Bears running backs. I know it's been leaning towards Swift now, and he's 5,800, but that whole price range in running back today is too strong. So I'm not going to be fooling around with the Bears backfield here. Don't really like many of these pass catchers either. So I think for that reason, because I do like Caleb Williams quite a bit, but at least this season I have, but I don't really like this spot. So I think I'm going to put the Bears in the Ghost of Girlfriends Past. Vikings are super interesting. We keep wanting to make JJ McCarthy a thing. And he definitely could be, and he's definitely going to be pretty popular. Aaron Jones, I think, is definitely a steam candidate. I think a lot of people are looking to play him this week. This matchup is really tough to pass up. We always want to attack the Bears, especially in a dome. So I think it's really tough. I'm a little bit worried this Vikings team gets a little bit too much ownership. That's why I'm not going to put them in dazed and confused. I'm just going to settle them in the 2 for the money tier.
Yeah, we'll talk about Arizona. I just think that Brissett's going to be a little bit more popular. Maybe going to take away some from McCarthy in tournaments just because it's just a lot easier to stack Brissett, I think. That's probably something that Bobby might have thought on. We talked about McBride being the most popular tight end. Wilson, Dortch as interesting stacking partners that are super cheap when we're looking for some value plays. So I think Brissett is going to jump McCarthy in ownership because, sure, you like Jefferson, you like Addison, but you got to pay for him too. We have Minnesota in tier 3, Bobby, as well as the Bears, the first team in Ghosts of Girlfriends Past. Your thoughts?
Yeah, the Bears are fine in Ghosts of Girlfriends Past. I would just stay away from Caleb personally. Like if you want to play a Dunze or one of his pass catchers, I think that's fine. But versus this Flores defense, I wouldn't touch Caleb. And then the Vikings, like I feel like the Vikings should be based on the spot versus the Bears defense in Interstellar. Like that's how good of a spot it is. But because, like Dean said, we've seen J.J. McCarthy basically play one good quarter of football, I'm going to put them in dazed and confused. And it's going to be plays like Aaron Jones, who I think is a very strong play on the slate, Justin Jefferson. I think Naylor's interesting from a cheap option. Like J.J. McCarthy's done a good job at getting him the football instead of the 2 studs in Jefferson and Addison. But yeah, this should be a great spot for the Vikings. They should be in Interstellar, but because I'm not sure what J.J. McCarthy is, I'm going to put them in dazed and confused. Hawkinson, I think, is a fine play too from a tight end at the tight end position. $3K for Hawkinson, so I think that's an interesting spend down.
Bobby, the 2009 romantic comedy Ghosts of Girlfriends Past, Matthew McConaughey, Jennifer Garner. What did the collectively the critics on Rotten Tomatoes? What score? What percent gave it a thumb up? Ghosts of Girlfriends Past.
Like 3%.
Well, Tim, you gonna take over or under 3%?
I'm gonna go the over.
Yeah, you gotta leave some wiggle room there. 27% of the critics at 142. 250,000 people, just the public. 40% gave it a thumb up though. So there you go. All right. I was curious to see how terrible they had that rated. Critics not liking it nearly as much as your mother or somebody out there. Okay. Are we going to agree and disagree here? I want to bring. Well, you guys have challenges, so you guys know. You're playing the game. You're going to use your challenges wisely at some point throughout the game. But I'm
not challenging this one. I don't have huge conviction on the Vikings or the Bears, really.
Yeah, well, you put Minnesota in tier 3, and Bobby put them in tier 2, and I'm going to agree with Bobby. Because I don't know if people are going to be playing Jefferson, and I think Jefferson's a really interesting tournament play because he's kind of close to the other 3 that people really want to play. So I like it feels a little bit like an overspend because he hasn't quite had a great chemistry with him just yet. Feels a little bit overpriced, but I do think Jefferson's a really good tournament play, as is Addison. And Bobby does bring up a good point just because there's so few 3K players on DK that are playable as far as the receivers. Like, who you're telling me that Greg Dortch is that much better a play than Naylor, and Dortch is going to be 6 times more owned, so sure. Naylor can absolutely outscore him. So we're going to give the point to Bobby. I think it's 3-1 is our current score.
What?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I mean, look, you got to Tim, I think you lost last week, if I'm not mistaken, and it was close.
No, I think I lost. I won the week before. I think he won last week.
That's what it was. Yeah, Tim bounced.
Yeah, I think I'm 9-1 only.
Yeah. Bobby's tanking for draft picks next year, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. The next game up, We're going to talk about the Carolina Panthers, the Atlanta Falcons. This is Bobby's board. 41.5 total, one of the more uneventful games. I don't think Bijan Robinson's going to be played a heck of a lot. Drake London did pop up on the injury report. I assume he's fine. I haven't seen anything else. We have a really cheap Darnell Mooney, if you want to trust that, which has been real. I don't know if he's had one usable week all season. Now, I think he's also been dealing with a shoulder all year long as well. He's on a lot of my best ball teams. That has not worked out. Hit the over, by the way. 1.5 best ball mentions. That definitely smashed the over. Catch that ticket. If you did have the, but
what happened to all the JJ McCarthy truthers from the best ball streets? There were a lot of them. I had 40% Drake May, and I would have had 80 if it wasn't for all these JJ McCarthy guys.
So, Bobby, he still might be good. It's not over. It's not like it's been declared that he's bad. Let's have a little bit of patience.
He's been pretty bad.
He's not been great so far. Of course,
he has no arm at all. We
can't just I heard somebody say the stat, since high school, he's thrown for 300 yards once in his life. Somebody gave, I wish I don't remember who I heard say that, but including his high school and in college.
It's probably Rebar.
I don't think it was Rebar, but it could have been. It could have been Rebar because Rebar's got,
he's into that.
Yeah. Incredible stats, Rebar. He will throw something out every single week. What was the one that he threw out this week? God. If I remember what it is, it was something quarterback related. With God, every interception is with their player off the field. I can't remember who it was. He just incredible. Rebar. A lot of people do great work, but Rebar's stats are outrageous.
All of Josh Allen's interceptions are with Dalton Kincaid off the field.
That's what it was. Yeah. How do we even have that stat? He has 5 or 6 interceptions. They're all with Kincaid off the field.
Yeah, he has to find a hobby.
He likes gaming. I know that. He likes movies. We talk movies. I'm sure he's got plenty of things to keep him busy, but he's got a family and all that. But he's really good at uncovering some awesome stats. Carolina and the Falcons. Bobby, this is you, right? I believe it's you.
Yeah, it's me. I'm going to put the Falcons in dazed and confused. I like Michael Penix this week. Drake London's been on fire. Bijan Robinson. People aren't going to play Bijan. I think they're going to, but they're not going to play him as much as they're going to play McCaffrey and those other guys. Or Josh Jacobs. And I think Bijan's perfectly fine versus Carolina. The only thing is Tyler Algier will come in at the goal line at some point. Kyle Pitts, I think, is an interest. This is going to be – so, if I wasn't playing Trey McBride, I think Kyle Pitts is probably my second favorite tight end on the slate this week versus Carolina. 4K price tag. He's been better with Penix. Kirk Cousins was there 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. Kyle Pitts kind of fell off the radar for a bit, but I don't mind Pitts this week. Tight end's pretty thin versus Carolina. So Atlanta's going to be in the second tier, and then Carolina's going to be in the fourth tier. I think I like Rico Dowdle versus Atlanta. 6,800 is a tough price tag to swallow when you look at the name and it says Rico Dowdle, and then you see 6,800. But he's been good. He's been efficient. This team wants to run the football, and he's the main guy that they're going to run it through. So for me, he's perfectly fine. I kind of like him in tournaments a little bit.
You got Carolina in Ghosts of Girlfriends Past and Atlanta in Tier 2. Somebody was asking about Bijan being squeezed. Yeah, he is. He's going to be squeezed.
He's going to be squeezed.
10% I'm seeing on DK currently, and I think it's going to be lower than that in single entry stuff. I feel pretty confident in saying that. Really interesting play in single entry contests. He could be a separator for better or for worse. If he doesn't do anything, you're probably buried. But, if you're shooting for first, he's somebody who can absolutely be the top running back on the board. Tim, dazed and confused, Atlanta, Tier 2, and Carolina in Tier 4. Any adjustments necessary?
I'm fine with Carolina. Atlanta, I'm going to move down one. I just don't like this game in general. I understand that Bijan is going to get squeezed if you want to get him into your GPP portfolio. That's completely fine. I do have a little bit concerns there, though, with Tyler Algier kind of sniping some of that goal line stuff. So, but, obviously Bijan always has a ceiling. I don't mind Drake London also, but they're just one-offs for me. Really not much of a stack here. So I'm just going to bring the Atlanta down to 2 for the money.
Yeah, I mean, you're right about the goal line stuff where, Bijan's been siphoned by Algier, but he also is a home run hitter. He can score from anywhere in the field. Like, he doesn't necessarily need to be, he can get the long ones as well. I do agree. I think we should move Atlanta down. I think Atlanta's a little bit too.
I'm going to use my rebuttal.
Wait, you're gonna plead the TJ? This is your challenge.
Both of these teams should be in tiptoes. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
I would have put Atlanta in tier 4. I don't like this game nearly as much as you guys seem to like this game.
You can play Dowdle, you can play Bijan in large field, and I wouldn't touch anything else in this game.
Not Drake London, not Kyle Pitts, even in large field?
No.
I think Penix makes sense. Somewhat.
Does he? You talk about quarterbacks that might stink.
He's 47. Yeah, he stinks, but he's 4,700. He's in a game that he's just in a price range that's important to get right on the slate. And there's a lot of nothing in that. Like Jacoby Brissett's going to be the chalk at 4,900. People are going to play J.J. McCarthy at 52. Penix can't outscore these guys, and he has weapons like Bijan Robinson and Drake London attached to him. You guys are wrong about this play. I'm just saying.
They're expensive. His weapons are expensive. So it's,
Yeah, but he's cheap.
Yeah. But you can surround, like, the reason why you're playing Brissett, one of the reasons is you can surround Brissett and 2 of his guys with some players you actually like. It's a little bit tougher to do that if you're playing London and Bijan. Pitts is a pretty good price on FanDuel. I think it's worth pointing out. I'm trying to get to the lineups I made earlier.
Price on DK is 4K.
Yeah, it's pretty good on DK as well. Both sites. Another player that people debated for years if he's good or not good. He's also still sneaky young, right?
He still stinks, but yeah.
Is he still 23 or something
Isn't
like that?
he running way fewer routes the last few weeks because they need the blocking help?
I cannot confirm that. He's 25. I guess he just turned 25. Kyle Pitts. By the way, 6'3", great brand of football there. You're getting a lot of fans in Spain. 3 minutes to go. Dolphins against the Commanders. Looks really, really uneventful according to the box score. Krosky Merritt, by the way, whoever you are, you have more rushing yards than Krosky Merritt. He's got -1 on
another best ball darling.
That's one I got right.
He was telling people to get him. Overzet, he was out there,
Was Overzet a touting
those guys? Yeah.
Yeah.
Kid with the hair, long hair.
The kid with the Matic?
Yeah.
The kid with the hair. Matic's in his 30s now, I believe.
He works with us, man. You should know.
I don't know. But he's never done a show. It's like
the kid with the hair. It was a good enough clue, though. I got there. I got it in 1. I banked it. Speaking of which, we'll give the 4th clue for Superstar Sunday. We haven't given up the last 2 clues. Egypt was clue number 4. Space, morning, all-nighter, and Egypt. We do already have a winner, but if you're just joining the show, there you go. Have at it. Enjoy yourself. Tim, right? Tim, you're up next, correct?
Yeah.
This is the last of the 1 o'clock games. Tampa Bay, Buffalo, 46.5 total. Buffalo is a 6-point favorite. We do have some potential weather lurking. Roth is telling us orange, yellow. Wind should be close to 20 miles per hour sustained. Gusts averaging about 35. There's a chance of rain or snow, but currently he's expecting it to be dry. We also have to pick up the pace a little bit, boys. Tim, Tampa, Buffalo, what do you got?
Yeah, when I first saw the slate earlier this week, I thought this was a game that I have a lot more interest in, but really, I really don't. Both of these teams are going to go in the ghost of girlfriends past. Both of these teams, I believe this is going to be, one of the slower games, one of the fewest plays, I believe, with Tampa Bay and Buffalo. Both play at a pretty slow pace. I believe, Tampa Bay is projected for the fewest amount of plays according to Cardi's The Blitz.
Yep.
So, Tampa Bay, just their talent has to keep them out of the bottom tier, but I don't think this is really a great spot here. And then, yes, obviously you can play Josh Allen. Yes, Khalil Shakir is in a decent spot here. But again, I don't really love this game. So they're just going to stay in that, second to last tier for me.
Expecting Josh Palmer back for Buffalo. I don't know if he's the savior. I did see a tweet. I don't know how legit it was, but somebody speculating or alleging they have news that Keon Coleman's going to be a healthy scratch.
Yeah, he's out of projection.
Oh, is that confirmed? Was that legit as far as the report?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was legit.
Yeah, I'm not seeing him in our starting lineups page. Shakir, Palmer, Davis, Gabe Davis. You forget about Gabe Davis. Shout out UCF. Curtis Samuel. Like, God, why did the Bills not get anybody? Give some receiving help to Josh Allen. And, of course, losing Kincaid's a big deal. I'm not like an all-22 guy, but when you watch the Bills, it feels like nobody's ever open for Buffalo. Josh Allen just has to do everything. But, yeah, okay. Buffalo, tier 4, and we have the Bucs in tier 4. Bobby, any rebuts, any issues? Do we agree?
Quick catch me up game. Like I'm in agreement with Tim.
All right. 4 games to go. San Fran, Arizona, 48.5 is the total. Arizona is a 3.5-point dog. Despite that, Jacoby Brissett, the Cardinals, going to be super popular. The lack of Marvin Harrison, some cheap partners with the very cheap Jacoby Brissett. San Fran, their defense is just all sorts of beat up at different levels. Brock Purdy is back for San Fran. The offense is as healthy as it's been the entire season. We're getting Pearsall back. McBride, most popular tight end. I've heard people talk about Higgins because maybe they just play 2 tight ends. And I do think that's an interesting route. A way to be different possibly is like double stacking the tight ends for Arizona in tournaments. Higgins with McBride. I think that's an interesting route to go. And if you're running triples, you really can open some stuff up as far as the rest of your pieces. Bobby, Cardinals, Niners, what do you got?
I got to grab my charger after I do this breakdown, but definitely Arizona in Interstellar. And I'm gonna actually go out on a ledge here. Put San Fran in Interstellar as well. I think both teams are in good spots. Jacoby Brissett and McBride's gonna be super popular. I like Dortch over Wilson, but think they're both perfectly fine. Running back, it would be nice to get DeMarcado as like the starter. If it comes around 4:00 and we see that could be an interesting.
It's going to be a mixed bag is the problem, right? With Knight and with Carter as well, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if one separates. And that would be a great leverage move if you can find a running back in his Arizona team you can trust.
That you can trust. Like I think I do like DeMarcado a little bit.
He can catch the ball. You can pair him with Brissett, I think, which isn't nuts.
Yeah. And then San Fran, like obviously Christian McCaffrey is going to be popular. I think I like the Purdy to Jennings stack. I also like Purdy to Kittle. I don't know I feel like out of all the studs, McCaffrey is going to be the one who I really loved earlier in the week that I think I'm going to be slightly under on now. But yeah, I still think you have to consider like Purdy, McCaffrey, Juwan Jennings. I think that's a great stack. So yeah, I'm pretty much as a one-off though by himself. I don't know how much I love McCaffrey in terms of like my spend ups. I think he's third out of like Chase and Nakua and guys like that. So I still think this game's probably where you want to be pulling a good group of players from. Yeah.
All right, Bobby, go get your charger, get yourself juiced up. We still have like 15 or 20 minutes or so until we yield to the next group coming in. We got Neil and Jordan and Erik, the return of Erik. Tim, what do you got? We have Arizona and San Fran, both teams. Finally, we have tier 1 opened up. Both teams in tier 1, according to Bobby. What say you?
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe he'd put one of these teams in the Dazed and Confused here, but I am in complete agreement that both these teams are in Interstellar. Getting to a ton of both of these quarterbacks, getting to a ton of doubles from both teams, getting to some Jacoby triples, getting to a ton of CMC. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you can play this game. I love one of the ways that I like to play this game is playing McBride and then George Kittle, double tight end. I've talked a lot about this whole double tight end strategy this week. So do like playing into both these tight ends. I think Ricky Pearsall is a super interesting GPP play. I don't think he's going to come with much ownership. Jennings is going to be the higher owned of the two. I think Pearsall is a really interesting kind of like late swap candidate, perhaps, is to move, have that $300 move to Pearsall.
Have we heard anything, not to cut you off, have we heard anything as far as them being limited or like kind of work back in slowly? That's my one concern, right? I think that's going to be the field's concern as well. So if we don't hear anything either way, I think that makes a ton of sense for GPPs. But I agree with you. Like in a vacuum, yes, I am concerned about that as well. So and then I think it's interesting, like what the field's going to do with Michael Wilson versus Greg Dortch. I think Dortch makes a ton of sense for GPPs, but I know that Michael Wilson is the Trey McBride's really the wide receiver one, but Wilson's really the wide receiver two here. But I think Dortch makes a ton of sense, to pivot off of Wilson. And I would not be playing Michael Wilson as a one-off today. He's going to be so chalky. I'd be staying away from him as a one-off in single entry or large field stuff. Officially, you agree with both teams in tier one, right? I
do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think both these teams are interstellar tier.
Fifth clue for Superstar Sunday is sack. Space, morning, all-nighter, Egypt, and sack. 3 more games to go. Tim, you're setting the board for this one. It is going to be another popular game. Seattle, the Rams. Don't have to worry about weather. We're in the dome. 48.5, one of the biggest totals on the board. 2 good defenses, but 2 good offenses as well. 2 of the best receivers in all of football. You got Puka and JSN, and Devontae Adams is not far behind. I know another thing we were talking about with Rebar is how the Rams are running, 13 personnel these days, running out 3 tight ends. I have no idea how to figure. There's 4 actually, right? They have Higbee and Parkinson and Allen and Ferguson. It's just tricky to figure out which one of those guys. I mean, it's mostly, Puka and Devontae Adams. But if you're looking for a cheap tight end, good luck trying to figure it out. I did make a couple Ferguson lineups on FanDuel just because he was so cheap to kind of make stuff work. Kind of a star scrub build. But Tim, the Rams and the Seahawks, what do you got?
Yeah, I don't really know how popular this game is going to be outside of JSN and Puka. I don't see how we're going to be getting to either one of these backfields here. I'm not going to fool around with Walker and Charbonnet. I guess you can play Kyron, but really, I think running back's too strong to be paying $6,900 for him. So I'm out on the running backs here. Not the JSN Puka, but the other wide receivers out of Devonta, except for Devonta, like all these cheap wide receivers, I really have no interest in. Like I don't have any interest in Rashid Shaheed. I don't have any of these interest in any of these tight ends. So really, in terms of stacking, and I don't think this game, at least in the initial sim run that I did, I don't think this game sims that well. So really, outside of JSN and Puka, I don't have a ton of interest here. I'm going to put both these teams in the Ghost of Girlfriend's Past.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising. Okay, Bobby, what say you? Versus Seattle and the Rams. Tim is putting both teams in tier 4, hanging out with Jennifer Garner. Ghosts of Girlfriend's Past. What do you got?
Yeah, this is where I probably lose, but I'm going to put the Rams in Dazed and Confused. I like Devontae Adams. I think he's super sneaky on this slate. I like the Rams doubles. Get a little late swap equity with the Rams too. If you just leave it the 4 in this game in general. And then Darnold to JSN. And we're talking about value plays that aren't great. And this is going to be one of them, but I don't mind attaching Barner at 3K if you're playing the double tight end. Because there's not much that we're kind of I think it's fine for this slate. So I'm going to put Seattle in 2 for the money. I do like Darnold to JSN a good bit.
So just to be clear, you move the Rams up the Dazed and Confused and Seattle into tier 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with both. I think both of them had to be moved up out of the 4 hole for me. So, I mean, Tim, this is almost a mathematical, I don't know if you can come back from this.
Unbelievable.
2 points for Bobby.
I think Dean kind of gave me an inclination where he kind of poo-pooed Tim's take, but that's where I was going anyways.
I guess I gotta use my challenge.
Oh, okay. That's a wise call.
That's the only chance I can win.
That's a Hail Mary, but we'll bring in TJ. What do you got, TJ?
All right.
We have a child.
You have a child.
We got a little baby here. We are going to take 1 point from Bobby as I drop the Rams to the middle tier, but Seattle's got to stay. I would actually probably have Seattle in Dazed and Confused personally.
You like Seattle that much, yeah?
Yeah. JSN, like, if he's like, he got it done. Yeah, got it. Like with 12 dropbacks last week with Darnold. It's what the numbers, the target stuff he's getting this year is completely bonkers. And there's a path for him to actually, play 4 quarters here, being a dog in the against the Rams, possibly having the pass. 2 more games to go. Chiefs, Broncos, 44.5 is the total. We have Denver as a 4.5 point dog here, taking on the Chiefs back from the bye. RJ Harvey will be fairly popular because he's the lead dog here with the absence of Dobbins. Bobby, this is your board, Chiefs and Denver.
I'm going to run into trouble here.
You just got to run the ball here, kill the clock. I mean, you can't.
I don't know what to do with Denver. They stink, but RJ Harvey is going to pop for people, but he's in a 3-headed backfield, and it's something I usually stay away from in tournaments.
Well, wait a second. You think McLaughlin's ahead? And Batty?
No, but they just eat into each other, Dean. You're the biggest pass game optimal. You would never play this backfield.
Do
you really trust Sean Payton too?
No, I don't.
Harvey's going to get the majority. He's going to get the majority because who else? They're not going to trust. They're going to get some work, but I think Harvey's like the biggest.
But it hurts Harvey. Like, go ahead, play Harvey in tournaments. I feel like you just get crushed.
I wouldn't say this is a 3-headed monster situation. I wouldn't, because we're getting a sliver from the other 2 guys, I think. But fair enough. It's your call.
Like, people are going to play RJ Harvey. I just think it's bad at 5,400. I'll put them in. I'll put the Broncos in Ghosts of Girlfriend's Past, and the Chiefs I'm going to put in Dazed and Confused. Mahomes to Rashee Rice. Is Surtain in or out? What's the deal with him?
I believe he's still out.
He's still out.
Yeah.
Chiefs in Dazed and Confused. Rashee Rice. Worthy is someone that's kind of fallen behind, and I don't know what his price is right now on the slate. Let me see. Worthy's 4,900. Like, I'd rather Worthy than some of these guys that seem like they're a little bit priced up on the slate in the mid tier. So pairing Worthy with Mahomes, I think, is fine. Kelsey's traditionally killed the Broncos. So there's Chiefs pieces here that you could definitely play. That's where I'd rank these teams.
All right, Tim. You're playing from behind here. You got Kansas City in tier 2, Denver in tier 4. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I have to be honest here and just agree with Bobby because this is exactly where I had these 2 teams. Really, I'm getting to a lot of Mahomes and Sims. If you're a FanDuel user, I'm getting to a ton of Mahomes doubles. Travis Kelce's 5,600 on FanDuel, so just keep that in mind. I think that's a really fair price and good price for him. So getting to a ton of Rashee Rice on both sites as well. We are showing Rashee Rice with some ownership, but I don't know if he even gets that high. So I'm wondering if he kind of gets forgotten here, which makes me like Kansas City even more. I do kind of agree with Bobby too on the RJ Harvey stuff. Not to say that's a 3-headed monster, but I think Harvey's almost better used as a cash game play. I'm kind of questioning his ceiling here. So don't like any. I don't really like any Denver. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put Denver in the tiptoes tier. Like, if anything, they got to go lower. So I'm going to put Denver in the tiptoes tier because it's really just Harvey for me.
I think they're on the verge of 4 and 5, and I'll actually agree with you. I'll give you the 0.42, Bobby. And Jamino pointed this out. Jamino sent me a note. I know he tweeted this. He said he looked this up not since December 28th, 2014. Remember what you're doing December 28th, 2014? That is the last time Travis Kelce has been 5-6 or less on FanDuel. People always cite last time on DK. This is last time on FanDuel. 10 years since you've seen Kelce that cheap on FanDuel. Last game we'll talk about in just a second. I do want to give the people today's Superstar Sunday. Include overwhelm with Space. and space was in reference to how this person looks. Something very specific is about their look. Clue 2 was morning. Morning is a show that they co-host. 3 all-nighter. They played in a city that never sleeps. They played in New York, so they're pulling all-nighters. They also host another show. This person hosts a lot of shows. Egypt was clue number 4. Egypt, of course, famous for their pyramids. He does host $100,000 pyramid. I think it's $100,000 these days with inflation. It's no longer $10,000, right? $100,000 pyramid. Sack famously. What was it? Was it Brett Favre? He famously sacked. Well, he was a sack master. He has the tied all time for sacks with, I think, TJ Watt, if I'm not mistaken. Space was the gap in his teeth. We're talking about Michael Strahan, who also hosts Good Morning America, and we did get this in 1. I was very upset. I thought my clues are pretty fun, but Gregorius the Wise ruined the game by being awesome at it. So
he wins like 2 or 3 days a week, I think.
He's very good. He's very good.
Some clues before the show.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense why I would do that. Go down that rabbit hole and try to explain why I would do that. The last game, it's got Lamar Jackson in it, and it's going to be ignored. It's going to be pretty ignored because the Cleveland Browns are on the other side there. So 38.5 total, lowest total on the board. One of the ugliest games as far as weather. Let me give a refresh. The Ross weather report. I'll probably drop an update, but yeah, straight orange. The Cleveland offense, the offense is red in Cleveland. It's gross. So the red offense with the orange weather, 15 total. Tim, I believe you are setting the board for us. Where do you want to put Baltimore and the Browns?
Yeah, Cleveland's definitely in tiptoes. I have no interest in them at all. I think Baltimore's an interesting defense and GPPs. But other than that, I have no interest in Cleveland. Baltimore, Derrick Henry is fine in GPPs. Lamar is okay as well. I guess I'd pair him with Zay Flowers. Maybe. I think you could play Lamar naked here, but that would just be in like the largest field stuff. So I guess I'm going to put Baltimore in the ghost of Girlfriend's Past. But really, those would be just very, very, very small sprinkle plays in like a very large field set of teams.
All right, Bobby, you are currently up 4-2. Like, if you just agree, you win. But, if you want to play it on the up.
I'm agreeing. I'm going to take the victory. The Ravens defense, I think, is pretty interesting versus Dylan Gabriel. Henry's fine GPP play. Nothing on the Browns for me. There's not much here. So it's pretty much how I have it too.
What could I play Lamar with Ravens defense? Is that something I can do?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Nobody's playing Lamar. I just feel like he can always break one for 70.
I'm not playing Lamar either, but I just think for what it's worth, if you are playing him, I think the best stacking partner is Mark Andrews. He's just super duper cheap and getting a ton of red zone targets. He's also
very reliant on scoring touchdowns.
The all-time Ravens record for receiving yards in this game. I could see it being a little Mark Andrews game with the big wins and those short passes.
To be fair, I think he needs 6 yards or 5 yards, so he could break the record and still have a stinker. But I hear your point.
Yeah, but it's like it's gonna be his day, is what I mean.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I don't disagree with the Andrews call for tournaments, and he's pretty cheap, 3.5. Okay, let's recap the board. I know the next set is coming in here shortly. At least I see Jordan hanging out here in chat. He's giving some commentary. But I assume that Neil and Erik are going to be jumping here in just a second. But in case y'all missed it, we power ranked Matthew McConaughey movies. Matthew McConaughey movies, tier number 1, Interstellar, Dazed and Confused, tier 2. 2 for the money, tier 3, Ghosts of Girlfriend's Past. I could have picked any one of those romantic comedies. Tier 4, and of course, the great, amazing, terrible Tiptoes, tier 5. 2 teams in tier 1, Interstellar. That's the Cardinals and the Niners. Tier 2, Dazed and Confused. It's the Bengals, the Chargers, Minnesota, Kansas City. Tier 3, if you're on the fence, is the most popular tier. Green Bay, Pittsburgh, the Texans, Atlanta, Seattle, the Rams. Ghost of Girlfriend's Past egregiously has the Bills and the Baltimore. It's just weird to see, but they also kind of get it. That's just the Bills, Baltimore, Tampa, Carolina, and the Bears. And Tiptoes, tier 5, has the Giants. A lot of usual suspects here. The Browns, the Giants, the Broncos, the Jags, and the Titans. And TJ is just manipulating the board here, moving the Bills up to dazed and confused out of nowhere. We do have the next set coming in here shortly. Tim, I do want your bold call, your hot take, your favorite stack, however you want to answer it. Your boldest fade. What's winning all the money today? What's going to be the separator?
I've been debating amongst a couple right now. I'm gonna go Herbert doubles as my separator. Herbert doubles win the millie.
Do you have the two receivers, or just kind of going back and forth on it?
I'm really going back and forth. I'm pretty sure Ladd's gonna be one. There's just so many good plays at tight end. I want to play Gaston, but I also want to play Kittle, and then I'm obviously going to be playing McBride. So it's really a kind of a 50-50 between those two. I saw a take about Woody Marks in chat. I love that call as well. He was somebody I was considering as well for my separator, but I'm going to go Herbert. I'm going to go Herbert doubles.
All right, Bobby. See Chargers doubles, Herbert doubles, Rays. Tim, what do you got?
I really like Devontae Adams today. 7,700. So I don't mind some Stafford with Adams on the winner.
Is that a stand against Puka? Are you gonna be lower on Puka?
No, I still think I'd be trying to force the double if you can.
Who's your biggest fade as of right now?
I tagged CMC, but it looks like he's going to be the guy that I'll be slightly under on of the studs. That's as of now, so I should probably change my right up there. But yeah,
you snuck away for a second to get your charger when we were talking about Pearsall. What's your confidence level in Pearsall getting enough reps to be worth rostering today? We have not seen him play football.
Didn't they say he was going to be utilized like in a gadget role, or like he wasn't?
I didn't hear that. Was that a beat? I'd love to see that note.
In a show I watched earlier in the week, it might have also been Rebar. Tune into Rebar stuff.
I don't know. I didn't see anything on that, but if you have something, or if somebody has something in chat, by all means, feel free to share that. But yeah, that does seem to be of note. By the way, if you've been following my updates, Washington and the Dolphins, it's a stalemate. 6-6 at the half. First touchdown wins over there in Spain. Really growing the game. All right, let's go ahead and seamlessly segue to the next group. We got Neil, we have Beimfohr, we have Vanek. Let's do it right now. All right, Erik, welcome back. Neil's in flannel. Jordan, we have what's the jersey du jour today?
This is an Ayuk jersey for 49ers kind of being back.
Don't play him.
Nobody's used that one for a while. It's clean, that jersey.
It was I think it was 2 years ago. I had like a Adams and Ayuk stack that in the mini in the afternoon that got like 70 that shipped me a GPP. So I felt like I had to get Ayuk.
Shout out to you. And do we like? Is that a sign? Do we like? I
do like Pearsall. I do like Brock Purdy being back. It feels like everybody's like not in on it at all. Like nobody likes to play him yet. It feels like everybody wants to see it. And Cardinals, they've been pretty bad on defense.
Does the ceiling get hurt like a tick for everybody with Pearsall being back and they're fully assembled now, with the exception of Ayuk? We haven't seen them all season long, but I don't know. Just because I like Kittle when one of the other pieces are out. Not that I don't like Kittle today, but just a slight hit. Do we care about that or not really? Or Purdy is just a little bit better than Mac Jones, so it kind of evens out.
Yeah, I feel like you could just Purdy sing. Like you could play Purdy by himself. Like you could throw for 4 touchdowns and they all get 18 to 20. Like nobody actually smashes at their price.
I was thinking about Purdy just by himself as like and playing a couple Arizona pieces, but okay, interesting thought. All right, Erik, welcome back. Did you have any takes as far as McConaughey? I don't know if you saw our board or not, but
I didn't see the board. I got back last night and naturally, of course, was having technical difficulties trying to get set up this morning, but I'm intrigued.
Were you on vacation?
Oh God, yeah, I was on vacation for the last week.
You definitely have seen. All of us have probably seen. You have to see. It's a requirement if you're going to be a tout. You have to see 2 for the money, right? Is that not required viewing?
Of course. I love that Tiptoes is on here, though. Tiptoes is like Hall of Fame lore.
It's incredible. Like I cannot recommend it enough. It's so terrible. It's so good.
Can we just? I know we'll get to the NFL stuff. What is it? The two bears or whatever.
Two bears, one cave.
Everybody also needs to go watch when McConaughey goes on there because he did this movie and he's unaware of like the trailer and like how they hyped up and it is in real time watching him react to it is almost as good as the movie.
In a role of a lifetime, they say for it is highly. I cannot recommend enough. Although again, it is terrible. All right. Anything else here, boys? Tim, Bobby, before we step aside and make way? Yeah, we're good to go? Yes?
Yeah, good luck, guys.
Yeah, good luck.
Hit that like button. Feel better, by the way. Thank you for guys. Both Bobby and Tim were playing injured, so hopefully you guys feel better. I'm going to step aside and get out of here and make way for Beimfohr and the crew. Erik, it's all yours.
Those guys are playing injured and putting in a better performance than what we're seeing this morning out in Madrid. Hopefully we can pick up the pace as opposed to what people have been having to watch out there. We always send the good ones overseas. We're really marketing the game, but we're going to market some DFS plays. If you've not joined us before, welcome. Thank you for joining us here. GPP Final Takes. What we're going to try to do is hit on the most relevant tournament takes, things that you need to know about, right? Ricky Pearsall returning, Brock Purdy returning, some of these different elements of the slate. So it's not necessarily going to be game by game or position by position. We're going to try to hit on kind of all of our favorite plays and just general breakdowns of the stuff that you need to know for tournaments. If you have questions, comments, whatever, drop them in the chat. We will hit as many of those as we can. Our goal is to try to answer your questions, right? Not just blabber on about Brandon Ayuk or what have you, or tiptoes. Apparently, we don't need to talk about that anymore. We want to hit your questions, drop those, and we'll intermittently weave those in between the subjects. But Neil, I have been a little bit out of pocket for the week, but I've been keeping tabs on this slate. I don't know though. We like to do, right? Intro with like a sort of a high level. What is like the main thing about this slate? I don't know that I feel like I have one. This feels very much like a blender, play whoever you want. There's a bunch of good running backs, a little bit of weather, but like a bunch of games I think you could probably stack up. There's nothing to me that's like, oh gosh, what do we do with Christian McCaffrey? What do we do with Jordan Mason? What do we do with that? Is there anything along those lines that has stuck out to you?
No, I think I'm on the same page as you. I mean, Jaylen Warren to some extent. I think we always have polarizing running backs against the Bengals. I'm always on the side of just play the running back against the Bengals, but I've seen a lot of people on the other side of it. He is getting a lot of ownership, so this is different than past running backs on the slate. But that one's like sort of a polarizing decision point. And then you brought up the weather. I do think the weather is kind of a big impactful thing on this slate, not just because we have 4 games, according to the Kevin Roth forecast, that are potentially like pretty big impacts on weather. I mean, 15 miles per hour is kind of like that cutoff where you start to factor it in, but they're also like really important games. Green Bay and the Giants to me is a game that I really wanted to play because we've got Jameis in there. We've got the Packers in a nice spot against the Giants. So I kind of want to play that passing game. I really want to play the Cincinnati-Pittsburgh passing games. And that one seems to have potentially some strong wins. And then I also was actually going to be pretty in on the Tampa Bay Buffalo passing games, but now I'm like, do I really want to play that if there's going to be strong wins? I was never going to be playing Baltimore Cleveland anyway, so that one doesn't matter as much to me. But I kind of hate all the weather going on, because some of the angles that I was planning on leading into, I probably am not going to do the Buffalo Tampa thing as much. Maybe I'll still have a few shares just because I still think it's Baker Mayfield and Josh Allen, and they can put on a show for us and surprise people at really little ownership. But it can't be as much of a priority. So yeah, to me, like the biggest thing impacting my play right now is the 4 weather games.
I like it. Jordan, what do you think just about a general kind of, what's the first thing that you started to sink your teeth into on this one?
I think there's like a lot of interesting storylines this week. It feels like obviously massive matchups, like massive opportunity for the Bears and the Vikings. And then you have obviously Seattle and the Rams, Denver and KC. Like, we have a lot of playoff games. Those can go both ways, where I also think there's like little hidden agendas in this, where Cooper Kupp, he built the Sean McVay offense. He literally like was everything that Puka is now. How much insight is he giving to this, defense? It's very like there's a cat and mouse game with that in particular. And then also Cooper Kupp, someone that I believe he knew the defensive playbook. Like the way he speaks about football, you can kind of tell. And there was once upon a time, the Rams played the Patriots in the Super Bowl. That game was like 13-6. Everybody was worst Super Bowl like ever offensively. Brian Hoyer came out after the Super Bowl and said he helped Brian Flores build defensive game plan because McVay kept the same signs and signals. Patriots knew what was going on before the Rams ran it. It makes me curious to see if that happens again. There's a lot of the best players in football right now are on this slate. It feels like all of this guy's getting 20 every single week with JSN, Puka, McCaffrey, and Jamar Chase with Joe Flacco. It's a very intriguing slate this week for a lot of storylines.
So let's do the weather super quickly. I don't know, TJ, if you have that pulled up. If you want to pull it up while we quickly talk through it. Shout out to our good friend and chief meteorologist, Kevin Roth, because I do think it's important this week because, Neil, like you said, these are some of like the most impactful games of the day. And does it what I always personally struggle with from a weather perspective is not like what do I think is like how much does it impact or whatever, but what are other people going to do? Right? What's the field going to do? Are they going to say, yeah, the winds don't look so good. No thanks on that Jamar Chase guy. I'm going to play Puka or I'm going to play JSN or something. And then it's like, well, if Jamar Chase projecting to be the top owned wide receiver on the slate on DraftKings, if that's not true anymore, that's a big, huge deal. Have you thought about that at all in terms of, I know you mentioned some of those things that you're like making some tweaks to, but like Jamar Chase, right? Josh Jacobs, is this better or is this worse for Josh Jacobs? Like some of the top plays are in those games.
Yeah, to me, it does make me like the running backs a little bit less, but not enough that I'm not still super into like Josh Jacobs, Jalen Warren, Chase Brown, still very into the running backs there, but it definitely makes things worse overall just because it's harder to score if there's wind. Generally, I would prefer to have the teams able to move the ball really easily. So yeah, I don't love the weather even for the running backs, but it's the reason I don't love the weather in part is because I don't think I'm particularly good at handling weather games. So it's like, this is my opinion. And then I'm often surprised, like, oh, it actually didn't matter nearly as much as I thought it would in this game. So maybe we don't really need to be factored in as much as I tend to do, like, because I tend to, worry about it too much and it sways me off of the plays that I like. So I just like have to give that caveat of like, I don't think that I've been particularly good historically at figuring out like, how does the weather impact what the teams are going to do here? So yeah, I think my instinct is I don't like the weather for anybody. I think this is bad across the board. It could just lead to more running if the weather is severe enough. We could just see Josh Jacobs get the ball more. But like the reason I don't like it instinctually is then it just forces the teams to load up the box. Like Josh Jacobs is going to get a lot of touches anyway. Now the Giants know that he's going to get all the touches and they can load up the box. So it's so I think to me it's a net negative. But again, I don't think I'm particularly great at figuring this stuff out.
He doesn't need more touches, like you said. He needs more efficiency and more production. And right, we need as many points as we can get. We want the Packers scoring 40 or something, because then he's going to get a big chunk of that. Jordan, let's start with Bengals Steelers. That is, of course, one of these sort of weather games. It's orange, yellow from Roth, and he mentions sustained winds of 15 to 20 miles an hour, gusts up to 30, 35. But like in New York, which we just talked about, Josh Jacobs, he does say like the wind should like peter out kind of over the course of the game and not be so significant in the second half. But I bring this one up because, well, of course, Josh Jacobs is important. I know you like Jordan Love, Christian Watson, and stuff like that, just like I do. We have a bunch of like really popular pieces, and I think they should be really popular. Jamar Chase, Chase Brown, right? We haven't mentioned yet, but Samaje Perine is hurt. I love Taj Brooks like long term. But I don't think Taj Brooks is going to matter today for the Cincinnati Bengals as they try to win. I think we probably get more of a repeat of what we got last year, right? Where it's just like Chase Brown, you take everything until you're tired. And we have Jalen Warren on the other side, right? Rodgers and Flacco both were quite good in this game. Pat Freiermuth popped up for his one absolutely nuclear week of the season in this matchup. So there's potentially a lot of fantasy points, but there is ownership here and there is a little bit of weather. What do you think about the Bengals and the Steelers?
So when it comes to the weather and just the passing game, like Kevin Ross specifically mentions the deep passing game that is affected. So when you want to throw a slant and have the guy take it 70 yards, like Jamar Chase can do pretty frequently, that doesn't really matter. Like if you watch back to the Steelers Bengals game the first time where Jamar Chase got 23 targets, maybe 5 of them were 20 yards down the field. A lot of them were like out routes, slants, curls, like just finding soft spots. And then on the other side, like Aaron Rodgers, I have no problem. Dude he has the furthest thrown football ever tracked in like the last like 20 years. And he did it in the game against the Bengals on that Hail Mary, threw like 68 yards in the air, which is insane. He played in Lambeau for all this time. He's not afraid of the wind. I'm not really worried about Aaron Rodgers in particular. I'm a little bit worried about Flacco's ability to throw downfield because those won't be there. But it doesn't make me fearful of Jamar Chase. It makes me fearful of T. Higgins, who that's his game. Like, that is what he's built upon. And then for that Packers game, just correlating the, idea of it's yards after the catch. No Tucker Kraft really hurts Packers in yards after the catch. I would have loved Tucker Kraft in this matchup. But I'm still fine with Christian Watson because Christian Watson has the ability to. They haven't necessarily used him because Jaden Reed was always there, and Christian Watson is just, hey, just run straight, please. Like, just keep running straight. You'll figure it out. But when he came out of college, like, his entire, everything was built off Yak. I think he could do this on. But as far as Jaylen Warren and Chase Brown, I think it's such an interesting game theory because they're both so high owned. How many of them are being played together is going to be interesting. But on top of it is Jaylen Warren just going to basically have, say, 40% of his lineups minied with Jamar Chase in some facet? I think so. I think if you're, playing those two, it makes sense. But I think the Steelers defense is a very intriguing way with Jaylen Warren because I know they've been terrible. They showed me they could change. When they played the Colts, they ran a completely different scheme. I'm hoping that they can do so against Flacco because if they live in the scheme they've been for almost a decade plus, Flacco's seen it probably 100 times at this point. He knows exactly what's going on.
On three or four different teams.
Yeah, like he's just like he's seen it. And it's like if they actually adjust, I think TJ Watt and them can ruin. Like the Bengals O-line is still terrible. They've been playing the Bears who have no corners. Like Jalen Ramsey, Steelers did something really interesting with him. He plays safety a little more now. That's an interesting dynamic to, hey, we're going to double Jamar Chase with Jalen Ramsey as the safety with Joey Porter covering. Like, there's just a lot of nuances with this game in particular, but I'm not afraid of Jamar Chase. I'm afraid of T. Higgins. I'm afraid of Flacco. Not so much afraid of Aaron Rodgers. Pat Freiermuth is still a really good play because Bengals can't cover me if I was a tight end.
Every week.
It's still bad.
I can't believe Pat Freiermuth has literally done nothing all season. Then you just scroll the game log and you're like, wait, 30 something? Oh, Cincy. Got it. Okay. All right. Goombus in the chat mentions, and I think that this is a totally fair assessment. And I just wanted to bring it up. He says, I can't see getting away from Steelers, Bengals, the Vegas line takes the weather into consideration. Totally true. And it's still tied for the highest total on the slate. It's like double counting. What I would say is I agree with that 100%. But I would also say where we can win in DFS is not just following like it's one of the highest totals on the slate. It's where could it be wrong, right? It's like, is that right? Should it still be the highest total on the slate? And we're talking about pricing and ownership and all that kind of stuff, right? Having the highest total. Well, Jamar Chase needs to have the highest total. He's very expensive and he's going to be very popular. So it's finding the spots where maybe our opponents or the betting markets are wrong because that's when we can really win. Just quickly, I want to talk about Warren versus Chase Brown because I think they're probably going to be the two highest owned running backs on the slate. Neil, do you have a preference between the two? Is it just, Bengals stuff, or is it this Chase Brown role is like hard to beat, right? Especially at this price because he's not priced for this role that we expect him to have today. Where do those two rank against each other? And then are they your two favorite running backs, or just like how do they, rack and stack amongst the backs on the slate?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just again, like you say with the tight ends, it's the same thing with running backs against the Bengals. Like every running back, like Jordan Mason, I was all excited about Jordan Mason after his game against the Bengals. Easily got to 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Hasn't done anything in any other game. We see that over and over with running backs against the Bengals. It's like, oh, they're bad every week. And we've been sort of lucky in that we've had a lot of spots where people have like questions about the running back. It's not like Jonathan Taylor against the Bengals where like everyone's just gonna be like, yes, I'm gonna jam that. It was like Breece Hall when it was like, oh, the Jets aren't gonna move the ball. Breece Hall went off against the Bengals. Just like every week, running backs are going off against the Bengals. Jaylen Warren is projected for a lot of ownership here, so it doesn't appear to be scaring people off of him that Kenneth Gainwell got more of the snaps last week. But I'm going right back to it. I'm going to keep going to running backs against the Bengals until it stops working, and so far it continues to work. I like Jaylen Warren better than Chase Brown. He would be my preference. Chase Brown, it's not a great matchup for Chase Brown. He was really good, I know, last year with this Christian McCaffrey light role, and he'll probably get back to having just an awesome workload here against Pittsburgh. But it's a tougher matchup. So I have at least a slight preference for Jaylen Warren over Chase Brown. I do like both of them quite a bit. I think I probably would call them my two favorite running backs on the two running backs that I think I'll probably end up with the most exposure to on the slate. I also will say that I like the Bengals matchup so much that I'll probably get to some Kenneth Gainwell on both sides. I think Kenneth Gainwell is like in play after having a pretty strong role last week. We saw RJ Harvey had an awesome game against the Bengals, playing behind J.K. Dobbins. I think that even Kenneth Gainwell is viable in this matchup.
Jordan, what do you think about those two? Where do they rank? And just like, how are you think like in your, Neil, I like it because Neil's, playing 150 plus lineups, and those guys are probably going to be near the top of his exposure. What are you doing with a smaller number of lineups?
I have Jaylen Warren over Chase Brown. I actually like a different running back in the same tier that I think is just way overlooked, of course, from Chase Brown, and that's Travis Etienne. Against Chargers has been absolutely terrible against the run. They've given up. Ja'Cory Cross-Camara had 127 yards and 2 touchdowns, I think, against
Chris Rodriguez's backup. Rodriguez is backup.
There's a lot of guys around Chase Brown that I'm like, oh, way better spot. And for Jaylen Warren, like, I think Rachaad White is really interesting, but there's not many pivot options comparative. And I think that ETN, Aaron Jones, Woody Marks, like, I'm not playing RJ Harvey. I'll say that right away. I don't believe he has a role that people are anticipating this week, but maybe I'm wrong. I said that about Rico Dowdle once upon a time. So hopefully, I'm hoping ETN is just a lot less owned than Chase Brown, because I think he is just in a better spot.
I like it. So let's talk about some of those backs then. We'll kind of get started in that at 5K, 6K range, right? And then we'll work our way up to the Jacobs and CMCs and Bijan's. Neil, what do you think about that group? I don't know if you mentioned him. I was reading the chat if Jordan mentioned him, but yeah, like Woody Marks is there. I like Aaron Jones quite a bit in that tier as well. There is RJ Harvey, who Jordan doesn't like that much, but of course, right. I will just say, leading the witness, RJ Harvey is the toughest decision for me of like the entire. I love him. I love the talent, right? Whatever. But like, I'm just so ready for Tyler Beatty and Jaleel McLaughlin to get more work than RJ Harvey, right? It's just like, it's such a Sean Payton thing to do. It's not like they don't have other backs. And so against the Chiefs, he does right now rank a little bit lower for me, but there's a lot of guys. I think like it's hard for me to imagine one or two of these guys not popping, right? Marie like Swift, right? There's just a bunch of guys in this kind of general price range that not saying they're all going to be low owned, but with people going up to Jacobs and of course up to CMC and then Chase Brown and Jaylen Warren, there's only so much ownership to go around, but there's a lot of different guys here. What do you like in this range?
Yeah, Christian Mina says Sean Payton hates you, and I take that to be me. He hates me specifically. Is how I'm reading that. It feels that way with Sean Payton. I think he's just lying. He lies to our face all the time. So it's hard to know, like, oh, is he actually going to be giving RJ Harvey more work, or are they just going to split it? I think that RJ Harvey will get more work because RJ Harvey is also the biggest running back on the Broncos, shockingly. So the fact that he is the biggest running back on the Broncos, I think the most efficient running back on the Broncos, it would make sense for RJ Harvey to see a lot of work. With that said, he's not a big priority for me either, because we do have so many strong running backs in this range. Even in my 150 set, I'll rule out, like, I don't think I'll necessarily get to any of Tony Pollard, Kyle Monangai, Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet. My guess is I don't get to any of those guys. I might get to a bit of Kareem Hunt. The priorities for me, though, are you mentioned Aaron Jones. I also think Aaron Jones looks great here. He has just been looking better with JJ McCarthy. They've been prioritizing him since he came back from injury. Nice matchup with the Bears. So I think there is a lot to like about Aaron Jones here. Woody Marks stands out at 5,400 against this Tennessee defense. They should be able to run on Tennessee, even with a lackluster offensive line for Houston. My bigger concern there is actually like Nick Chubb being more involved than we're expecting. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of consistency, but Woody Marks seems to have taken over as the leader there. Love every the ETN call. I think ETN
every time I feel like we say that, it's like, yeah, okay, this is supposed to be, and then he gets 8 touches and Chubb gets 16 carries.
Yeah, so it's just like I don't have extreme confidence in it, but I think that he is a strong play at 5,400. We can hope that role continues. Love the ETN call. I think ETN looks great at 5,600. He is getting some ownership. He's in double digits there. I skipped past Tyrone Tracy. I don't think I'm going to any Tyrone Tracy. Brown looks great. Swift is the Vikings defense. So my stance all season has been, because the Vikings defense looked awful early in the year, like they kept on giving up big games. My stance has always been, if the offense can stay on the field long enough, their run defense is really good. It's been like in the first half, the run defense shuts down running backs, and then eventually they get worn down because the offense just doesn't sustain any drives. And then suddenly they give up big plays to running backs after they get worn down. So I think that it kind of depends on how the offense does for the Vikings. So I guess Swift is fine in some lineups, but I would not want to play Swift in lineups with JJ McCarthy, for example. I think just because, again, I think that he's more likely to do well if the Vikings offense just sucks and they're not able to sustain drives and the defense gets worn down. Then I think that's what benefits Swift. So I'd like him better like with the Bears defense, but I think he's viable at single digit ownership. And then I also do like Kamani Vidal at 5,900. It's it's more of a pass funnel defense, the Jaguars, but I think Vidal's workload is just strong enough that I think he's a strong play as well.
Yeah, Jordan, that's a lot. That's a lot of guys, right? That's a ton of guys. How would you start to rank some of that tier? We haven't even gotten to the spend ups, and there's probably 10 or 12 backs all in this, sub 7K range. Where are you prioritizing?
ETN's my number one. I think, weapon, he's the best weapon on this Jaguars team right now. They showed they could be competent against the Texans, which was really impressive. Obviously, Dave Smills and the offense didn't exactly help out, but they still had a lot of points. That was the first time that I saw a team kind of move the ball against the Texans. I think that Liam Cohen's scheme is finally getting fully implemented, and this matchup against the Chargers, the Chargers' offense line is atrocious. ETN and company, I think they're going to be playing with a lead, and I think they're just going to control this game, because if you just don't have an incompetent offense like the Steelers did on Monday night, or Sunday night, I think it was, you're going to be able to find success against the Chargers on the ground. Aaron Jones probably 2, Woody Marks is 3, and then I don't include Jaylen Warren in that tier. I consider him a tier up. And then I don't really want to play anybody. I'm just not playing RJ Harvey because I watched Jahmyr Gibbs get 15, average 3 yards a carry. I think the Chiefs' game plan will be to get Bo Nix to throw the ball because Bo Nix throwing the ball has been terrible this year. So it's I think Tyler Batty and them are going to steal stuff. It wouldn't surprise me if RJ Harvey had his highest carry game, and then you see his route run participation go down to 10% because Jaleel McLaughlin all of a sudden is the pass catching back. And then they're losing. You're basically banking on hopefully he gets goal line touchdowns. And I think they'll use Bo Nix near the goal line, to be honest.
I like it. But Bo Nix rushing is such a weird, wild. I mean, Bo Nix in and of himself is a wildly unpredictable and all over the place player, which is hilarious because he set the accuracy record at Oregon. You wouldn't have thought that in his final year, but he went from at Auburn, couldn't complete a pass and was running wild. And then his first year at Oregon, he runs for 10 million touchdowns.
And then baby.
Yeah. It's been a very wild roller coaster. And he kind of is like that in his NFL career. Sometimes he has games where he really runs and sometimes he has absolutely no interest in running, but I agree with you. That could be a good thing for RJ Harvey because he's done a lot of his production has been through the air, or like you said, the next thing you know, Jaleel McLaughlin has 7 targets and Harvey runs 6 routes or something. It's just such an unpredictable thing. Before we hit some of these questions, I just want to quickly touch on, because it's kind of a new news and we're about to get actives and inactives, and this will certainly be one of them. But Keon Coleman is going to be a healthy scratch today for the Buffalo Bills, which is a wild turn of events in a year and a half. But I mean, he's been terrible. I get it. They had a horrible performance last week against this clearly bad Dolphins team. We see what the Dolphins are doing this morning. And Josh Palmer is back. Gabe Davis is back and apparently going to be active. They also signed Mecole Hardman to the 53-man roster. It sounds like he's just going to be a return man, but still. A little bit of a mess, but there's no Dalton Kincaid and there's no Keon Coleman. And if the weather holds up, this is the Bucs kind of pass funnily with Josh Allen in a bounce back spot. Neil, are there any Bills guys with this Keon news that are popping up to you as priorities?
First of all, as much as I want it to be that they just decided to bench him, the latest is that he's a late scratch due to being late to a meeting on Friday. So for what it's worth, it might just be a 1-game thing, being punished for that one thing.
Well, it depends on how these other guys play.
That is also true. So I and going back to, I think Goombas said earlier, like the totals will reflect the weather. That is true. And in this game, the total dropped by like 5 points over the course of the week due to the weather. So I actually think like this is a spot where, Matthew Golden active. Sorry. This is a spot where the weather is impactful. And yeah, it makes me like some of the pass catchers a little bit less. Like I would be pretty intrigued by Josh Palmer, and I still think he's playable. Like I'll probably have some Josh Palmer. I think he's probably the biggest beneficiary. At least I think he is, with Keon Coleman out. But I still think I'll probably get there some, maybe less than I would if this game had a 51 total or whatever it would have been without the weather. But I still think Josh Palmer a viable play here. So yeah, I would say that would be the biggest impact. I don't think I'm going to get to any. I guess Gabe Davis maybe is somebody we need to consider. I guess I'd like to hear Jordan's thoughts on the Buffalo pass catchers, because that's my read is those two become a bit more interesting. Obviously, Khalil Shakir benefits, but I guess I don't have a strong read on the Bills pass catchers.
What do you think, Jordan?
It's so fun fact. When I was taking the train from Orlando to down here when Bills last weekend, I saw Gabe Davis's family on the train taking the Bright Line come down here, and I was like, that's weird. I was like, he's not active. Like, they were just going to the game. Yeah, no, I remember him from the UCF days. I think Gabe Davis could like catch a deep ball, but like Josh Allen played at Wyoming. If you want to know strong wins, go watch Wyoming football in December or November, and he's not going to be. I don't think he's going to be that impacted by it. I just worry like they're broken right now on offense. Like there's something that is not fitting. And I think obviously playmaking is a big thing, but they're also like Joe Brady's not letting Josh Allen turn the ball over. He's not allowing Josh Allen to throw downfield, which is like, it was great for the first 2 years when he came over when Dable, because it's like, oh, wow, Josh Allen's now a 30 touchdown, 4 interception guy. But Diggs' frustration built because he was like, we are not using me down the field. And then slowly but surely, their offense just doesn't throw downfield, and it kills them on a lot of different things. So I'm not going to get to it this week. I'm just going to wait until I see it. I also, like I said, love Rachaad White this week because the Bills, they're basically the Bengals against the run lately. It's absolutely terrible. And I know Sean Tucker took a lot of touches this past week. Rachaad White is still out there 73% of the time. So he's still the guy on that backfield. And in a matchup where, I think they're going to compete more, and even if they get down, like he's their pass catching back, and that will be a good role for against this Bill defense as well.
I like it. Let's hit a few questions, and then we'll move over to the top end of the running back pricing. But there was a couple different questions on this, which is fitting for kind of our running back cheap stuff. Neil, any Amari DiMercato or Bam Knight, I guess. Any Cardinals they're mentioning. It is technically true. That is some massive leverage. I will not deny that. Does Amari DiMercato have enough upside for it to matter? That I don't know. But it is going to be a lot of Jacoby Brissett, a lot of Trey McBride, a lot of Michael Wilson being played in this spot. Anything on Mercado or DiMercato or the Cardinals running backs?
Yeah, I think I might get to a few shares of DiMercato just because I play so many lineups. Probably wouldn't make my pool in a 20 lineup set because I think there are a lot of really strong running backs on the slate. But just because the price tag is a little bit of a different tier than some of the guys we really like in the mid 5,000s. He's 4,500, so you get a little bit of price saving on DiMercato. Had over 100 all-purpose yards last week. He's involved as a pass catcher. So yeah, I think that DiMercato is a viable play, but not like a priority for me.
What do you think, Jordan?
I'm not touching that. I'm okay. I will like on the 4 p.m. only, maybe, but I'm not even questioning those. There's so many good running backs this week that are under 6K. It's the first time I think without like significant injuries that we're having this type of running back like availability.
Totally agree. The combination of talent and role of all those guys is pretty crazy. We didn't get a question on this, but we haven't hit on this. I'm going to include him in this tier because he is sub 7K. But stay with you, Jordan, your boy, or your team's boy, Rico Dowdle, busts as infinite chalk that I, of course, ate naturally. What a disaster! Just played the Lions, dude. I played Jerry Jeudy. Like everything was like beautiful, and you have freaking 60% own Rico Dowdle with like 11 or whatever it was that he got. That was so painful. But now, right, that guy, Atlanta has struggled a little bit against the run. I know they've gotten a little bit healthier on defense, but they've struggled a little bit against the run. And nothing has really changed for Rico Dowdle. The price isn't that different. The running back slate is much different for sure. But what do you think about Dowdle this week?
So I'm fine with playing him. I don't think he's a must-have because of the price point. I think that the Carolina Panthers, he's banged up a little. Like, he's had this quad issue that showed up a little bit against the Saints, where you could see him grab at his leg after getting hit and different things. That worries me. I do think, like, against Atlanta on a dome, I think he's perfectly capable of doing a lot of great things against his defense. Atlanta's run defense, since the injuries that they've suffered to their linebacking group, haven't been that good. Like, they slowed down the Patriots when they're still giving Terrell Jennings a lot of touches. They slowed down. No, they didn't really slow down Miami, actually. And then obviously Jonathan Taylor ran for 244 yards and 3 touchdowns. So, like, he's not a must-have. I'm fine playing him. I'm just not. He's not like, oh, you got to get to him. Like, I think ETN outscores him, and he's $1,200 cheaper.
I like it. Just one more, and then we'll move up. Neil, you are the king of the backup running back, and this has been my favorite backup running back of the year, who I've notably been playing in season-long leagues for like months, really. Now, Tyler Algier backs up, of course, Bijan, but it's a little bit more than a backup. But was also notably, what's their head coach called him the most like underappreciated superstar on their team. I'm like, look, I like Tyler Algier, but you just lost 4 games in a row. I'm not sure how many superstars you really have on your team, but any interest in him as a large field, kind of a play. He can get home, I think, regardless, and then you have whatever the 2% chance of a Bijan injury.
Yeah, I will say that I played Tyler Algier in this matchup the last time, and they lost 30-0. I was like, oh, they're just going to crush the Panthers. You may recall that was the game that I talked, and then Jordan hated it so much, how much I was like, all right, we're just going to play all the Falcons against the Panthers, just always attack the Panthers. But like, they're not that team anymore. They're not that's the Bengals now. The Bengals are the new Panthers that are the defense that we want to attack.
We're not the worst cat anymore.
Yeah. So I guess because Algier does have such a strong standalone role, it's like borderline viable to me. Like he's 4,800, so he's a little bit cheaper. So it's, yeah, I guess in a 150 set, I'd be okay going to some Algier, because sure, still he could get 2 touchdowns in a game. Like, that is very he's always been inconsistent like that, where he'll pop up a few times per season with a couple touchdowns and put up 20 fantasy points. And it's like, where the hell did that come from for Tyler Algier? He's still that guy. And even in this matchup, like, again, it's not as good of a matchup, but it could happen here. So yeah, if you want to get to it, I'm not going to tell you that it's a terrible play. I prefer Kenneth Gainwell, again, because I think that it's now the Bengals are the new Panthers who we can attack, and Gainwell's 4,100 as opposed to 4,800 for Algier. So if I'm choosing between them, it would be Gainwell. But yeah, I think he's a fine GPP dart throw.
I like it. Jordan, let's get to the expensive guys, the expensive running backs. If we have some of this running back value, and maybe people are a little bit worried, right, about the weather for Jamar Chase or what have you, they might want to spend up at running back. We talked a little bit about Josh Jacobs, but there is Bijan, right, Algier's teammate. Bijan in this matchup the last time was also like 1,000,000,000% owned. I also notably ate that chalk. Shout out to me for ruining all these good teams with this terrible, terrible chalk every single week. But Bijan not going to be played. Christian McCaffrey is going to be played, but Brock Purdy back, like, does that hurt, help, right? And just what do you think about some of the big name spend up running backs?
So Christian McCaffrey, it's not just a game of like, do you play Christian McCaffrey versus Bijan? It's Christian McCaffrey versus JSN versus Puka versus Jamar Chase, because there's these elite receivers. So it's very like, it's difficult for me to love Christian McCaffrey, because if you think from a positional, like, if McCaffrey got 30, I don't believe he's the highest scoring back on the slate. And that is what he's got to hit to get there. Like, he is not positionally set up. Well, I think if Puka Nacua got to 30, like, receivers are pretty bad this week. Like, there is just a bigger gap between the top receivers to the bottom feeder receivers than there is at the running back position this week, from just the value perspective. So it's really tough for McCaffrey. I think Bijan is one of the better tournament plays, just from the standpoint of, like, if they change on offense, I don't know if they're capable. I don't know if they're going to. Then the Panthers probably struggle a little bit because I watched speed kill them when James Cook was out there. And there's like, you just got to go under center. I don't know if they're going to. They haven't shown it yet this year, so it's really tough to trust it. But it wouldn't shock me if all of a sudden Bijan was just immaculate in that game. And then Josh Jacobs is probably the best of the top tier. It's just an easy matchup. The weather is going to concern people. Even when they get to the red zone, like the Giants will know they're running it. The Packers will be comfortable running it. And it's just an easy, like, he's just going to play smash mouth football down there. James Cook is the most interesting from the fact that I hated Tampa Bay's defense against running backs forever. But the last few weeks, I don't know what it is.
It's a home run every like 2 quarters. They give up a 75-yard touchdown.
It shocks me. And like James Cook's the biggest, probably one of the best home run hitting running backs in football. Like I don't love it, but it's one of those things that if this happens again, I'm gonna be like, all right, I'm done. I'm done avoiding this Tampa Bay defense because Travion, out of all people, the person we've touted the most, I feel like the one time Eric misses, Travion Henderson gets like 7 touchdowns in 2 games before Eric gets his next appearance. So that's kind of, I'd rank it. Jacobs is the best play. Bijan and Cook are probably the most interesting for GPPs, and McCaffrey's fine. I just don't think he's that much better than the other running backs on the slate.
Neil, what do you think about those big spends?
Yeah, I do like McCaffrey. I think better than Jordan does, because I mean, if he puts up 30, like chances are that he's still the top scoring running back on the slate, but not necessarily running back that you need. So to Jordan's point, but he's also, like, I think easily the likeliest running back to put up 30. So I love the floor ceiling combo of McCaffrey. He's excelled in this matchup with the Cardinals. Now I don't put a ton of weight into like past years how he's run against this team, but I think McCaffrey just a strong play every week at 9,000, and you can kind of afford to get there. I guess to Jordan's point, it's a little bit tougher because a lot of the value is at running back. But I think he's a relatively strong play. I probably come in about even with the field if he's going to get somewhere around 30% ownership. Bijan is the one that I'm inclined to skip, I think, just because of the matchup. But I could definitely see it biting me again. Just this is kind of a revenge spot for them today after they lost 30-0 last time. Maybe they put it back on the Cardinal or the Panthers here. But yeah, Bijan is the one that I'm least inclined to get to. So I'd say, like, if I'm ranking the above 7,000 running backs, it's probably at ownership. It's probably Cook number 1 for me at 7,300. Like, I think that Cook is like an objectively strong play, pretty likely to put up a big game here and not getting much ownership. And they're probably just going to run the ball quite a bit. So I do like Cook. I think the best for GPPs at ownership, followed by probably Jacobs. I think he got 26 carries the last time out. Now against the Giants, who have been really bad at stopping running backs, followed by McCaffrey, and then Bijan will be number 4 to me of that group. But I don't feel super comfortable saying that because it wouldn't surprise me at all if it is Bijan putting up 30 fantasy points. But yeah, to me, he's the 4th of that group for me.
I think the frustrating thing, just as an onlooker, right, from the Bijan stuff, is when he was really having his big games early in the season, or at least had like a super duper high floor, the pass game usage was not only high, but kind of creative. Splitting, right, him and Algier on the field at the same time, splitting him out, throwing him screens, getting him the ball in a bunch of ways. Like, you don't want to tackle that dude in the open field. Like, you can't tackle that dude in the open field. Like, he just makes everybody miss, and he hasn't been getting a lot of that stuff lately. I don't know if that's coaching. I don't know if that's Michael Penix. I don't know. I don't know. It's not my area of expertise, but I think you need that to come back. Right. You need to get the 5-6 catches. You need him to be like CMC light in the passing game, but with more more after the catch ability. Can that happen at any time? Sure. Yeah, sure. That can happen anytime. Do I trust that it's going to? Probably not. No. Let's pivot to some quarterbacks and kind of some passing game stuff, because just kind of like how running back is wide open. I wouldn't say that quarterback is like as deep with a million awesome plays, but I would call it wide open. I don't think that there's any like super duper standout amongst the quarterback position. Jordan, what pops out to you first at QB?
So first, Caleb Williams has become like the player that I'm just gravitating towards because one, he's going to see the Brian Flores defense for a second time. Jonathan Greenard is out. That's a massive piece to their pass rushing. Basically, it's like, hey, Will Anderson, and then just don't throw screens Van Ginkel's way. As long as you don't do that, most likely going to have a good time. And then the other side of it, it's like first time he ran for like 68 yards. He's been running well all the last 3 games. I feel like he's had like 40 or more rushing yards. And then you look at the Vikings defense, like I think Ben Johnson has been able to install his offense more and more and more as the season has progressed. We've seen a better Caleb Williams as the games have gone on. I know it's not phenomenal. He's not perfect. It's not a one-year fix at the quarterback position, but it feels like there's natural growth compared to what Trevor Lawrence did with Urban Meyer. And then the next season with Doug Peterson out there as his head coach, it felt like they were stagnant once they hit their kind of ceiling. This game to me, like, it's pretty cheap to stack. I love Aaron Jones running against this team. And I think that you're going to get like, yeah, Flores is going to blitz and he's going to be aggressive, but he laid all of that out in the first matchup. And now Ben Johnson with Caleb Williams having 8 weeks, 9 weeks of the season together, they're going to have answers to these counters. I think like a Donze, Caleb, and Aaron Jones game stack is the way I'm going to play it this week because it's in the dome. It feels safe. And I wanted Jordan Love. I really, really, really did. That was the guy that I was very much targeting in my article. But Caleb Williams is just the better option because it's just way safer. Because Kevin Roth, I can't believe he put out and weather report, and it hurt my feelings.
Neil, where are you gravitating at quarterback?
No, muted.
Yeah, I was muted. I was in a different tab, just finishing up something that I was typing out. Yeah, quarterback. So I think I really like. I mean, I'm a homer. I'm gonna go back to JJ McCarthy here. I think that he's shown some fantasy ability, even as everybody's ragging on him. Everybody hates him, calls himself 9. He's so cringy, yada yada. I don't care. He put up 17 fantasy points, looking terrible last week, and honestly, not looking as bad as I think people thought he looked, because I think Justin Jefferson was having it at his worst game as a pro, worst game that I can recall. Jefferson did not look like he was giving the effort. 2 interceptions. It was just JJ McCarthy threw it up to Jefferson. One of them, Jefferson just like slipped, and so the cornerback was there by himself. There were a lot of plays that like flip that one play. Suddenly JJ McCarthy has 21 fantasy points instead of 17. And he looks like he had an awesome game. So yeah, give me JJ McCarthy against this Bears defense at 5,200. He's not especially contrarian. He's actually getting some ownership. But I think JJ McCarthy, a relatively strong play. I'll probably eat the chop with some Jacoby Brissett also at 4,900. But I really like Purdy on the other side of that one. Jordan brought it up that people aren't super interested in going to Purdy. I like it. I think that's a fun, a lot of different ways you can go with the double stack with Pearsall, Jennings, and Kittle. And then you can also include McCaffrey in that as well. So I think that is a strong play. I really like Justin Herbert this week, and I like that there are 4 different ways you can, 4 different pass catchers you can stack him up with. I think if I ranked the 4 pass catchers with Justin Herbert, it would be Gadsden number 1, Ladd number 2, QJ 3, Keenan Allen 4. But I'm going to play that a bunch. That's the beauty of being a 150 maxer. I can just play it a bunch of different ways, and they should be able to pass on the Jaguars. Some interest in going to Sam Darnold, just like the price tag. I think that's a game that could go a lot of different ways, but I think generally the expectation is that they're going to be running it a lot. But I think we don't really know how this game is going to go. And I think Darnold at his price tag with JSN, and then also you've got Rashid Shaheed there and Cooper Kupp. So there's a lot of fun ways you can go with that double. I generally going to be including JSN, I think, in those stacks. Some slight interest in going to Davis Mills with Nico Collins and or Dalton Schultz, just because of that matchup looking pretty good. But that's just a bit of interest. And then Flacco, the other name I would call out is I like Flacco, I think, in this matchup better than Aaron Rodgers.
One thing I would just say on that Titans Texas is what I've been on the lookout for, and I should have mentioned it before with actives and inactives, but Jeffrey Simmons is back for the Titans up front, and he is just a monster, and they don't have very many monsters on the alt. Speaking of the super teams with superstars, the Titans don't have any, but if they do have one, it would be Jeffrey Simmons, and that's just good for their defense overall, but specifically good for their rush defense, right? Without him, against Woody Marks, I think it's possible you could lean a little bit more into the passing side of things, like you mentioned with a Davis Mills, Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, whatever, Jaden Higgins, whatever it is that you like. Obviously, Nico, I think, being the standout there. But I just wanted to note Simmons. There's there's a certain subset of defenders that's like if they're out, it's like okay, this is notable, and I think he is one of those. We didn't talk too much because we talked about the weather, right? So if you're just joining us now, we kind of hit on some of this at the beginning in terms of like Flacco, Rodgers, Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield. Some of these other guys are popping up as a little bit bigger priorities than maybe it would have seemed on Wednesday or Thursday or something because of kind of the weather in some of these spots. Jordan, what do you think about Jacoby Brissett? He is going to be the chalk, but again, leading the witness. This is a pretty disgusting group of skill players. We'll talk about it when we get to tight end with Trey McBride, but Michael Wilson also going to be very popular. Greg Dortch, and it looks like Xavier Weaver is going to be the other starting outside wide receiver with Amari DiMercato. And like, I know Brissett's doing like what Brissett has been doing from a fantasy perspective, at least, has been really impressive. And I know Marv is not like some superstar, but Marv is like 10x Xavier Weaver. You know what I mean? So at a certain point, we can't keep removing this many weapons from a quarterback and have him continue to put up certainly GPP worthy scores. I know he's 4,900, but he's also the most popular quarterback. And like, that gives me like the heebie-jeebies given who he's passing to.
I'm fine playing him with Trey McBride. That is as far as I'm willing. I'm not playing a chalky Michael Wilson. I know he's 3,800. I'm okay. I will gladly pass, because like the one thing about this game that I'm very fearful of is it being slow. I think with Brock Purdy's first game back, I think the defense struggling, Shanahan's going to be looking to just get 4 or 5 yards, get these quick, like we're not going to be throwing the ball all the way down the field. We're going to try to methodically move it and slow this game down. We know our defense is bad. Let's control the clock and do what Texans did to us. Like the Texans went ahead and were like, we're not letting their offense get on the field and get any sort of rhythm. We're going to basically limit the possessions. I think that's the way that game is going to play out. So I'm not as interested in the Brissett side. I see it. I understand. Like he's gotten 20 every week as a starter. The offense is way better. I'm fine playing him with just Trey McBride, but not really trying to force that. I think there's other ceiling games from some of the other quarterbacks that are a lot less popular. Like Caleb Williams is the one I'll go to, but even then, like you have some of the other quarterbacks around him. Like I don't love JJ McCarthy, but JJ McCarthy's weapons. I'm sorry, give me the guy throwing to Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, then Xavier Weaver and Michael Wilson. I'll gladly just, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But it's the only thing about JJ McCarthy that frustrates me, Neil. I'm sure you agree with this. He cannot throw a ball that is not 90 miles an hour. My God. There was a play 2 games ago where Justin Jefferson got one of his like crosser deep seams that Justin Jefferson had to fall to his knees to catch because it was just bolting at him. And if it was like it was Nick Mullins, any of the other quarterbacks, I know Justin Jefferson's catching that in stride and just going. If JJ McCarthy just learns how to throw with an ounce of touch, he'll be good. He makes good decisions. He plays within the scheme that Kevin O'Connell wants. He was so mad at TJ Hawkinson because of the one interception he threw to Jay Jettis. He wanted to go to Hawkinson, but Hawkinson was just not running hard on his route. So, but I won't get to Jacoby Brissett. I think that game's just going to play way too slow for me. Yeah,
my biggest fear among many, clearly, it's not just Xavier Weaver and what's it, Andre. I don't even know how to say his last name, but Bakalia or whatever. This guy is popped up on like showdown slates like once every like 12 weeks for the last 3 years. Xavier Weaver's been on the Cardinals for 2 seasons, by the way. He has not recorded an NFL catch. But so they lost Zay Jones, they lost Marv, they also lost Simi Fehoko, for anybody that another probably like showdown name that people recall. He went on IR. That's why they're in this very bleak situation. Before that, and something that has been somewhat real, somewhat not so real over the course of the season, my concern for the Cardinals has been like a juiceless offense is what I've been calling them. They're so slow, like they don't have any ability to stretch the field, right? Like Michael Wilson is like, I guess, supposed to be that guy who runs like a 4.7 40. Like there's just, I don't think Michael Wilson can like be the focal point of a passing game. Obviously that's Trey McBride, but I think the 49ers know that. Like the 49ers are a bad defense, but I think that they have enough competence to say, I think let's make Xavier Weaver and Michael Wilson beat us and not let Trey McBride catch 15 balls for 200 yards, right? And pull an upset here. So that's just my overall concern, like, with the game environment and stuff. It's also very popular. If people were scared like I'm scared, I'd be like, well, yeah, let's do it, man. It wheels up, but it's the stone cold chalk. So that's my biggest concern with that. What isn't the stone cold chalk that a couple people asked about in the chat, Neil, that I want to get your take on is I know the weather is not awesome, and I know the Browns defense is great, but 3% own Lamar Jackson. Nobody is interested at all in the Ravens. Nobody is interested at what sub 7K Lamar Jackson. How much, if any, Lamar are you going to play today?
Yeah, it's a tough one for me because I don't have a ton of interest in Lamar, but also I get it, and we don't have super great quarterback options on this slate. There's no real standout, so I get it if you want to go there. It's just such a low total for me, and he is fairly expensive. I'm not sure that I get to any Lamar. I think because Josh Allen's only $200 more expensive, and I feel like that game is more likely to get pushed and just put up 65 points in the game, whereas I really don't see that with Cleveland being on the other side. I think at some point they just run the ball with their running backs with Keaton Mitchell. So I guess I'm struggling to get to Lamar. I'm not sure that I have a ton of interest there.
I like it. Keaton Mitchell over 25.5 rushing plus receiving yards today. There's my one betting tout of the day. Let's talk about some receivers. Jordan, I wanted to make sure the running back stuff was really important, and quarterback is kind of a little bit hairy. I think you would agree that a lot of the receivers are like, okay, which quarterback, right? Which quarterback? Maybe sans Purdy, but which quarterback are we playing like that? Right? You're playing Justin Herbert. Well, now Lab McConaughey makes a lot more sense on my teams, right? You're playing Joe Flacco. It's like, I think we know who you're playing at receiver, right? if you're playing Joe Flacco, but how are you let's start at the top with the superstars, because I think if we like these value running backs, we probably have a little bit of money, of course, to get Trey McBride, but to get these superstar wide receivers, how are you kind of ranking the JSN, Puka, Chase, right? How are you prioritizing those guys?
I think JSN's my number one, just because, like I said, I think maybe it's just a me thing where Cooper Kupp literally knows the way that they're motioning, why they're motioning, and Mike McDonald is just one of the most brilliant minds when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. I'm intrigued to see the Seahawks defense against the Rams, because I think the Seahawks and the Rams do the 13 personnel thing where they're like, we're going to put 3 tight ends out there and we're going to throw. Teams are having a whirlwind with it, because it's just analytics in football is always super fun for just the way the game gets played. I think it was 3 years ago, I thought the game needed to go rushing side of things, and we're in that era now. A lot of running backs are needed to have a lot of success. For these two offenses, I think JSN's going to have more success than Puka. And then Chase, I'm fine with him over Puka too. I think Puka's my third. And then Rashee Rice is just awkward. I don't know. I can't find a way to fit him into a lineup, because obviously, Neil, I hand build over here. I can't just 150. So it's not capable. And it's like 7.9 is just a price tag that I'm just not getting to. And if the Rashee Rice, RJ Harvey mini kills me, it kills me. I don't know. I think that's going to be one mini stack while I'm watching that game at 425. I think it is. I'll be like, oh, I was wrong. Oh, this sucks. This is going to be a really, really long 4 p.m. slate.
What do you think about the superstar receivers, Neil?
Yeah, I think I generally see it in the same order. I'm not sure if it's either JSN, or I do also like Jamar Chase quite a bit. I'm not sure who is the top. I do think that I have Puka probably third of that group, and then Rashee Rice certainly the last of that group. I also am struggling to get too much Rashee Rice at 7,900. Could be fine just because he's such a strong receiver. There's no Patrick Surtain, but the Denver defense has been holding up even without Patrick Surtain. So probably my least intriguing of that those 4 top receivers. So it'd be JSN, Chase, Puka, Rice, I think is my order.
I like it. Justin Jefferson. So would Justin Jefferson, where would he fit into that mix, or is he just like I'm playing him on my JJ McCarthy teams, but I prefer Chase, JSN on maybe non-McCarthy teams?
I think I'd probably have him ahead of at least the bottom of that. So ahead of Rashee Rice, Yeah, probably fourth of that group. Like for the most part, just going to be on JJ McCarthy teams. Like I think I'll probably have some Jefferson without JJ McCarthy, because I think that he could just put up, the 120 yards and 2 touchdowns without. I guess at that point you probably want JJ McCarthy at his price tag. But I do think that he's viable. Maybe 100 yards and 1 touchdown is all you need with 8 receptions or something. So yeah, I think Jefferson. I like the price tag. I think at some point they're going to get going. But for the most part, just going to be in stacks with McCarthy.
I like it, Jordan. As we work our way down pricing a little bit, I'm going to screw this up. I forget exactly what the time frame was, but it's like from week 6 on or whatever. Drake London has been the wide receiver 1 in fantasy. I don't think that's the right date, but you get the point. In recent weeks, Drake London, and he's been awesome. And he really had they don't really have much up. Darnell Mooney is on a milk carton somewhere down in Atlanta. Kyle Pitts has been just whatever, and we haven't been using Bijan in the passing game, so there's really only one guy to throw the ball to, and he's been outstanding. Drake London coming in about 13%, not a super ideal matchup, but where does he fit? Emeka Buka, let's say the weather holds up, right, or somebody wants to play Bills or Baker Stacks or whatever. Emeka Buka 5%, still no Godwin, still no Evans, and then Nico and Ladd I think look pretty good in this spot in the 6K range, right? There's quite a bit to like kind of amongst all these what I would still classify as kind of superstar wide receivers. These are just a little bit discounted, rightfully so, but just a little bit discounted. How do those guys compare to the studs?
I like Drake London a lot against the Panthers. I think he gets moved around enough to avoid JC Horn, and Mike Jackson has been solid in coverage, and obviously we played them really well the first time. It wasn't that we covered Drake London extremely well. It was that we were hitting Michael Penix before he had the opportunity to throw the ball. So again, if Atlanta adjusts, which I haven't seen yet, they have yet to adjust this entire season. So that's a very, very big stretch there. If they do adjust, Drake London, I think, will have a very, very big game. Him and Bijan are 2 very, very good tournament plays. I'm not getting to Ibuka much just because he just hasn't really been that great of a receiver. He obviously is capable. I know that he did well against the Patriots, but as far as separating and doing a lot of different things, he wasn't. It's a lot of scheme. It's a lot of just Baker putting a dot. I don't know if the weather is just going to kind of deter that. Nico Collins is good. I'm fine with playing Nico. I don't know if the Chargers can protect Justin Herbert to throw the ball to Ladd McConkey. Ladd has had very, very good games lately. He's consistently getting targets now, so he's fine to play with stacks, but I'm just not getting anywhere there. And then to just go down, Romo Dunze is better than a lot of these lower 6K, 7K guys, in my opinion. Romo Dunze had 1 dud. The dud just was really bad, but 20 against Baltimore, 20 against the Giants, and I was going up against a Vikings defense that just consistently gives up the big play over the past few weeks. It feels like every week a big play is happening towards a receiver, and I think that receiver this week will be Odunze. And I'll say for my Caleb stacks, just because I'll forget, Luther Burden played a lot more this past week. That is I know everybody wants to play Michael Wilson. If you're doubling Caleb, I think Luther Burden is the way to go, because I think you think yards after the catch over the middle of the field. That's Luther Burden. That is what he is capable of doing. You want someone to break tackles and make plays happen. That's the type of receiver that I think gets a lot of love. That didn't get a lot of love in that first matchup because it was a week 1 off a rookie with a groin injury.
What an absolute disastrous play. I apologize. I have the football game on here, and these 2 teams are just laughable. This is just hilarious. So much Zach Ertz happening.
Oh, he just fell.
Yeah, he fell down. All right, so let's talk about something better than Zach Ertz. Sub 6K, Neil. I think that there's some appealing names here, but maybe not as strong of a slate down here as we've had kind of in some recent weeks. That's why you're seeing Michael Wilson be very popular. Wan'Dale Robinson should be pretty popular. What do you think about DK Metcalf? Somebody asked about DK Metcalf. Troy Franklin, first read targets for Troy Franklin over Cortland Sutton have been like triple. I don't know when this became Troy Franklin's offense over Cortland Sutton's offense, but I don't know about the matchup, but the role has been pretty great if that game shoots out a little bit. And then we have Pearsall back. We have some of your Chargers guys, QJ and Keenan Allen. What do you think about some of these sub 6K guys?
Yeah, I mean, like DK Metcalf originally stood out to me, but then this is a really tough matchup for wide receiver ones, and then he's only targeted like 7 times per game, which seems shocking as like he clearly leads the team in targets, and it's still just like really like wide receiver 2 numbers. I think that he's fine at 5,700. I saw somebody brought him up, boomer bust. Yeah, Chris. Yeah, I agree with that. Like I think he still can go off against the Bengals. Like they can just put up a lot of points. So I think DK Metcalf is actually a pretty strong play at 10% ish ownership. I really like the 2 wide receiver 2s in this range, those being T. Higgins and Jordan Addison. I know that there's some concern with T. Higgins. Maybe they can't get the long ball going in the wind. I know Tomlin referred to him as Shaq in the past, that they fouled him in the end zone because if you're playing against Shaq, you're going to foul him. So there are reasons to not love it. But at some point, you got to think that he's going to get going with Joe Flacco. Everybody's on Jamar Chase, so it's a nice leverage play off of Chase. Higgins not getting much ownership. So I really do like Higgins, but then also Jordan Addison. He was targeted 11 times last week. He's 5,500. Maybe JJ McCarthy saw the lack of effort from Justin Jefferson. He'll just go to his wide receiver 2 this week. He also didn't catch the ball that much, so didn't look great. But I really like, at lower ownership, I really like both of Addison and Higgins. Both are like pretty strong leverage plays off of the top receivers. Pearsall, I think, is really, really fun at 5,400. Again, and Jennings at 5,100. I will be playing both of the Niners receivers. I'll be playing some Purdy, so I think that I'm more interested in that one. Yeah, I don't know how much interest. I don't think I'm going to get to much of the Broncos receivers, Franklin or Sutton. Just kind of a tough matchup. Not super excited about either of them. Don't love the matchup for Teteroa McMillan. These are guys that are just like kind of, if they get into my lineups because that's what I get from the Sims, I guess I'll take them, but not priorities. I like Justin Herbert quite a bit. So I'll probably get to some Keenan Allen despite the role diminishing. He's just such a target earner that even if he's running like 50% of routes, he can, and he actually, I think it was up to 60% in the last. Oh, but that was with Gadsden getting hurt. So yeah, he's really about a 50% route runner at this point, but he's such a target earner that he is still always live to get like 2 touchdowns on 50% of routes. So I think Keenan is fine at 5,300. Khalil Shakir probably benefits somewhat, at least, from Keon Coleman being out. Maybe I guess I'm not. Probably benefits more from Dalton Kincaid being out. Actually, is the actual take. So I think Shakir as the clear top receiver there for Buffalo looks okay, and he's also like gets short targets yak guy, which is better in the wind, like not as affected as like the long ball guys, where like the wind can really throw off the pass. Doesn't happen as much on a pass behind the line of scrimmage. So I think Shakir looks pretty good. I want to be excited about Romeo Dobbs, but the weather is concerning me a little bit. QJ is also 5,000. Love QJ at 5,000, has that big play upside. So yeah, those are my 5,000 up receivers, and I guess Parker Washington looks fine. Not a great matchup, but fine.
No Brian Thomas Jr. again for Jacksonville, and obviously Travis Hunter is out. Speaking of a lot of superstars being thrown around to guys, I'm not sure that is very applicable, but Parker Washington was called a superstar as well by his coach just recently. And I mean, he has been playing really well, returning kicks for touchdowns and catching touchdowns. I kind of like him as well. Jordan, what about some of these kind of other maybe more tournament flyer names? Rashid Shaheed in your, you mentioned kind of, we've all kind of mentioned the Seahawks side of things. Week 2, now maybe he's really ready to go. And Darnold stacks, right? JSN is going to do JSN things. But if this game really shoots out, can Shaheed speed it up like he used to for Clint Kubiak in New Orleans? And then, yeah, those Packers guys, I know you mentioned really liking them kind of earlier in the week, Romeo Dobbs and Christian Watson. Are you still sticking with any of them with the weather, or is it let's move on to something else?
I think I'm going to play it because I kind of just am sold on, like, maybe the wind's not blowing when they throw it there. It's tough. I'm lowering the dollar amount that I'm investing into the Packers, but I'm still going to play a little bit just because if, Keith wrong about, I've been on the other side of like, I'm not playing this game because of the weather and watching the quarterback throw for 400 yards and stuff. So
yeah.
that's been a tough one. I will say I was a week early on Jalen Naylor. God, why did all of a sudden Jalen Naylor become this great receiver against the Ravens? You guys just didn't need to throw to him against the Lions.
Yeah.
Jordan Addison, I think, is a really good call out for that 5K range. Wandale's in a great spot because the weather doesn't matter with him. he has shown he gets the downfield work now, but we all know he can just be a quick, shifty guy that catches passes. You don't want to throw it downfield. He's the option. Like, they don't really have anybody else. Theo Johnson maybe, but really Wandale is going to control a lot of that area of the field. Pearsall, I think I'm going to buy into before I see it. He already had 100 yards against the Cardinals. I know they were a little bit more banged up in the secondary, but with Brock Purdy back, like, they have been as patient as it gets with Ricky Pearsall returning from injury, and they've just kind of been very patient with everybody returning from injury. It wouldn't shock me if he just returned to 80% roll. Like, I don't think he gets 100, but I think 80% is a realistic possibility. DJ Moore with the Caleb Williams stacks, even though I like Luther Burden, are fine. Juwan Jennings, I think the fact that I know he has broken ribs makes me just not want to play him. I think like he's good. He's gotten 14, 18, but it's just a little tough. I'm trying to think of anybody else, but I mean, Christian Watson, I know he's not in the 5K range, but he's the receiver for the Packers that I'm more comfortable playing over Dobbs. Like, he'll be someone I'm comfortable one-offing instead of having Josh Jacobs in the lineup, because I think he could. Matthew Golden has kind of done it a little bit, but I think Christian Watson is their best yards after the catch receiver if they actually just try to use him that way.
Aaron in the chat, a fumbled punt by 3 and 7 teams after both of them have gotten stopped at the goal line on 4th down like multiple times. But Neil, if that were a DFS play on this slate, is that Michael Wilson? Are you Jordan and I have talked about Michael Wilson? What are you in your 150 set doing with him?
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably be underweight on Michael Wilson, being projected for a fair amount of ownership. Like a quarter of the field going to be played. Michael Wilson just not. And he's been like a full-time receiver, close enough to a full-time receiver, and just not that good. So of course he's going to score a touchdown, and we're going to hate it. But no, I don't think I'm going to play that much Michael Wilson. I'll probably be 10% ish, and then I'll play some Greg Dortch. I'll play some Xavier Weaver at lower ownership. Still not like the biggest priorities for me. I guess Greg Dortch now up to double digits in ownership. I'm not sure how much his role changes, like how much more work he gets as the slot receiver. Xavier Weaver, I do think is viable at 3,000. I'm not going to Andre Bachelia. I'll stop with the top 3 there. But I'll probably have some Weaver, some Dortch. I'll be under the field on Wilson, but still probably like 10%.
Going to be a whole lot of Elijah Higgins snaps. I think they're going to set a record for 12 personnel out there in Arizona land today. But speaking of that, let's kind of rapid fire, Jordan, some tight ends. Obviously, we got Trey McBride at the top. Is he for sure number 1 priority? I mean, projecting for almost 31% ownership. I think he's a lot of people's top priority. But what are you doing with him? And then what are your other favorite tournament plays?
The big 3 is obviously the top 3 at tight end this week. Like, Kelsey has dominated the Broncos a lot. I think that he can win in this particular matchup here. Kittle is getting Purdy back, which I think I've mentioned multiple times. Like, I don't really want to play Kittle until Purdy's back. This is a type of matchup to do so, especially like with all the ownership going. Like, Kittle can outscore Trey McBride. It's not likely, but he is capable of doing so. Kittle is probably one of my favorite tournament options at tight end. And then just, Theo Johnson, 4,100 in the Green Bay game as a run back of Josh Jacobs and stuff. Colson Loveland, if you're going to stack Caleb Williams. It feels like after the big 3, it's just if you're stacking, like in getting correlated in any way, shape, or form. I do think Hawkinson at 3K is pretty interesting. He's someone that, again, it hasn't really done much, but he's 3,000. He's going to run a lot of routes, and he's playing against the Chicago defense where all their eyes are going to be on the receivers. Hawkinson is capable of tight end, and McCarthy has thrown 2 tight ends before.
I really wanted to, Neil, be in, and maybe the tight ends are going to end up totally fine, but in the Tampa Bay and Buffalo game, Kate Otten looks pretty good to me from a tournament perspective. We get this run of Kate Otten every year where everybody else gets hurt, right? Evans and Godwin and all these other guys get hurt, and you're like, wait, Kate Otten just got 15 targets? Like, what just happened? And he got 12. He got 12 last week. His target share has been pretty massive for the last little bit. The price doesn't make me feel super comfortable, and I don't know if I'm stacking that game, but I like Kate Otten. And then my absolutely mega gross people are going to say Dawson Knox, right, for the Bills. I think they're going to play old Mr. Jackson Hawes a lot here in this game. He's been awesome. I don't know that how sustainable this is, but like by any metric, he's been like one of the best tight ends, very small sample and everything. But if you're expecting Dawson Knox to do his like, old school Dawson Knox thing, be ready for like 3 for 40 and 2 from Jackson Hawes and just be like, oh, you're cheering for oh no, that was Jackson Hawes. So just a random, like, again, like Millie Maker type stuff. But why is Dawson Knox not just like popping without Dalton Kincaid? It's because they got this other guy that they like quite a bit at tight end. But what do you like at tight end for tournaments?
Yeah, I mean, I think Trey McBride as the chalk is totally fine to me. Like, I think Trey McBride should just be targeted 1 billion times against a broken down San Francisco defense. So I don't mind the chalk with Trey McBride. I really like Oronde Gadsden at 4,600. Again, that's just like an elite matchup for tight ends. And I like, I'm going to be going to some Justin Herbert doubles, and he's going to be a priority for me there at 4,600 and not getting crazy high ownership. So I like Oronde Gadsden quite a bit. Kittle, I think, is a strong play at 5,000. He's probably my third favorite of the tight ends. I like the Kate Otten call out. Looks fairly strong. And then for the most part, it's going to be a lot of like play the tight end with the quarterback or in the game stack. But the other spot that I would call out is the Steelers tight ends, which it's like you want to play tight ends against the Steelers, similar to running backs, where it's just play the tight end against the Bengals. The tough thing with the Steelers is which ones do you want to play? Because they have 3 viable tight ends, or like sort of viable tight ends. I'm not going to get to any of Darnell Washington. I'm just going to be playing Freiermuth and Jonnu, and I don't have a really good take on who to like better between Jonnu and Freiermuth. I guess slight edge for me to Jonnu because he's slightly cheaper, but I think both are totally viable.
Yes, as CJ says, smash that like button. We are soon about to pass the torch over to Crunch Time. If you have questions, please keep them coming. Crunch Time will lead you all the way up until Lock and answer as many of your questions as they can possibly get to. What we are going to do is give our flag plants, our bold calls, what is going to win GPPs today. I will say I've been the one that has been out, and so I will go first. I left you guys. I left Jordan apparently to just deal with a bunch of Vikings fans for a week, so I feel bad. Yeah, I feel bad. But mine is it makes me feel a little bit nauseous. But I'm with Neil on the Chargers passing game, and I actually think it's going to be Oronde Gadsden at tight end. I think this is like he's been kind of bad. He's had struggle with some drops and banged up, but I think his emergence, right? Why is Keenan playing less? Trey Harris is playing more too, right? But why are we seeing a little less QJ? Ladd's been great, but I think Gadsden is like on his path to like stardom as a fantasy tight end. We've seen a little bit of it, but not a ton. And so the field is not totally buying in yet. I think this spot is awesome. I'm a little bit concerned about the offensive tackle play for the Chargers. So hopefully they can hold up for long enough to get Gadsden the ball, maybe not QJ or something down the field. So I love Gadsden today. Neil, what do you got?
I can't believe you just stepped in and stole mine. I mean, I was going to say Justin Herbert doubles, but I think it's close enough that I'm gonna not tail it. I'm going to go. We usually talk about defenses on this show because I think we've had some success. Erik has been crushing the defenses, but I am going to go with the Texans defense. More generally, I think a pay up defense is going to pay off and put up 20 plus fantasy points. Could be the Texans, could be the Packers against Jameis Winston. I think those are 2 of my favorites. But I think that defense is going to be pretty impactful on this slate, and I think it's most likely going to be one of those 2. Over
under turnovers by Jameis Winston, 2.5. Over under 2.5.
Yeah, exactly. I'll take the over against Packers.
I think I'd take the over as well. Jordan, flag plant before we bring on Crunch Time.
I think that I think it was Pat Mayo made a video about how he's going to play Jameis lineups with the Packers defense in it because of the pick sixes, which was just so comical to see. But my flag plan is going to be Travis Etienne. We'll keep this Chargers Jaguars stack as the winners, I think, on the show. I think he's their best weapon. I think the Chargers, you look through their game log, they've given up some very, very explosive run games. And Liam Cohen at this time of the year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, all of a sudden Bucky Irvin was just reeling off 25 after 25 after 25. I think with Etienne, this is the time where that starts to happen, and that game is just gonna be the one that wins it for everybody.
All right, you heard it here first. Bet the under in the Chargers and Jaguars game. Let's bring in Crunch Time. All right, guys. We mushed one game, and Jameis is going to have a resurgence, I guess, too, because we said he's going to throw a million interceptions, which is not exactly a bold take. But Kyle, what are you feeling today?
Yeah, I think hopefully the mush doesn't come true because I have a lot of interest in that game as well. I love the Gadsden call. It was nice to see him practicing fully. I think that was a good sign that he's feeling pretty good after that scary injury on Sunday night. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that game for sure.
Chief, are we all going down together on this Jaguars Chargers? What could possibly go wrong?
Plenty. Plenty. Look, I feel like I'm about to be a broken record here, but I talked about it last week, and it was okay. Kept us rolling. I'm going back to Matthew Stafford in this Rams offense. Like, if you look at it last week, Stafford, Kyron, Devontae, Puka didn't quite get off. Devontae didn't quite get off. But if you had Stafford and Kyron, you pretty much captured everything. And now they're really competent offense, and the Seahawks coming to town. Once again, the Rams offense has been pretty good this season, and we just don't play them. I'm back on the Rams. This Rams-Seahawks game's got my interest peaked yet again. But love that game.
I love it. TJ, before we pass it to you, I want to hear yours. And I'll say Steve is asking for my defense take. Mine was incredibly lazy as well. The defense against Jameis Winston seems pretty good. But I will say for like large field tournaments, I'm pretty interested. Neil kind of talked about this with the Vikings defense. Just Brian Flores pressure against Caleb's working some magic, but it looks like he's ready to go off the rails on just about every play when he's scrambling around back there. I could see a couple of sack fumbles or whatever for the Vikings defense. Just got to take one back to the house. But TJ, what are you feeling?
I'm going to be all aboard the Jacoby Brissett triple stacks this week. Now, there's one guy that you guys didn't talk too much about on the last show, and that was Greg Dortch. I think he's going to be very heavily involved this week because I don't think they're going to be running the exact same offense that they had in the past. I don't think he's going to slot into the Marvin Harrison role, but I think he's going to be catching a ton of short passes and be very heavily involved in that offense. And so I'm all aboard the Jacoby Brissett triple stacks so I can get me some Jackson Smith and Jigba with any running backs I want, essentially. And then in the lineups, I'm not playing Brissett, and I need that cheap receiver. I believe it was Jordan who brought it up. I love the Luther Burden pivot off of Michael Wilson call. I am playing a lot of Michael Wilson because I'm playing a lot of Brissett, but when I'm not playing Brissett, I love the pivot to Burden.
That's awesome.
Nice.
I love it. Again, if we did not get to you guys' questions, I apologize. A lot to cover today, but these three fine gentlemen got you guys taken care of all the way up until lock, and we will get out of your hair and let you hear what these guys have to say, and we'll see you guys in week 12. Cheers.
Gotcha on mute, TJ.
My stupid cat and just unplugged my mic. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Crunch Time. Great job by the GPP Final Takes crew. Great job by the GrindersLive crew. We're going to take you right up to lock. We got about 40 minutes left. We will go position by position. We'll talk our favorite stacks. We will hit your questions. If you got any questions, get them in the RotoGrinders live stream Discord chat. I'll go there first. I'll go to YouTube second. YouTube, make sure you smash that like button for us. It's free content on a Sunday morning. All we ask is that you hit that like button. It helps us out a ton. What's up, friends? We got Kyle Murray and Will Priester joining us today. Kyle, I'll throw it to you first. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Busy time with NBA and NFL, but can never complain about that. Got a nice little London game going on. Madrid, sorry. Dolphins just got stuffed at the 1 on 4th down. So this game might be going to overtime in Spain. What do they call that? Looking for a golden goal in soccer? Is that what we're doing now? But yeah, feeling good.
I picked Dolphins in my pick 'em over Washington this week. So
your cat's playing Saboteur.
Unbelievable. Am I right? Am I good now?
You're good now, yep.
Yeah.
All right. Chief, I'm going to throw it to you in case this happens again. And I'm not going to monologue. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Glad to come on. Always good to hop on crunch time and try to help the people up to lock. Give our thoughts. And I don't get too many shows with Kyle, so I always treasure the shows that I don't get with the people I don't see as much. So Kyle, I'm glad to see you today, man. And hopefully we can help somebody become a millionaire today.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Right back at you, man.
Let's do it. I'm hoping that someone is going to be me, but if it's one of our listeners, I won't mind one bit. I did put 150 lineups in today. I usually just do 20. I ran 150 this week, not in the Millie Maker, but in the $5 50K to first, much flatter payout in that one. And so I am playing a ton of lineups today, but I do have a couple in the Millie Maker as well. Let's start getting to it. We don't have a ton of time. Let's start going position by position here. And Kyle, I'll throw it to you first. If you can, maybe outline for us as well when you're going through who you think kind of the cash game plays are. And we'll talk both FanDuel and DraftKings together. Let's start at quarterback.
Yeah, it does feel like it's kind of a spend down week at quarterback for me. I know we do have Mahomes and Josh Allen and Lamar on the slate, but Mahomes is going against Denver. Josh Allen and Lamar both in pretty ugly weather games, especially Lamar. So for me, I'm looking to spend down. I would say the cash quarterbacks are probably going to be J.J. McCarthy and Jacoby Brissett for me. I know McCarthy kind of feels like a gross click at this point, but he's got rushing upside. Chicago's actually been a team that struggled to defend rushing quarterbacks, so we could see him maybe getting a little bit more done on the ground. Chicago just in general has been bad against the quarterback and just defensively in general. So Brissett and McCarthy are probably my two favorite quarterbacks on this slate. And again, I do think it's a spend down slate for me.
In cash, is it going to be one of those situations where you think you'll first choice JJ McCarthy, but if you need the $300, you'll go Brissett?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I do think in cash, I probably like JJ a bit more because I think he has more rushing upside. I think Brissett's probably not too far behind in terms of scoring a rushing touchdown, but McCarthy has more, I guess, consistent rushing upside for me. So I think McCarthy slightly, but yeah, no problem with going to Brissett for a little bit of extra salary relief. And then in tournaments, you called the triple stack here. I probably like Brissett maybe a little bit more in tournaments because of that correlation.
Chief, how about you? Who are you looking to prioritize at QB today? We know you like some Matt Stafford for large field tournaments. Who else do you think you'll get to?
I'm so as the week's going on, I was actually shocked that Jacoby Brissett, I guess in my head because of wide receiver situation, I should have known he was really going to be up there. But love Stafford. Obviously, even though the guys were talking about, before we came on, they were talking about the Jacksonville and the Chargers game. I still like both quarterbacks in that game with Lawrence and Justin Herbert. I think both are okay. We've got Caleb Williams here with the triple dot tag, and I do really like him in this spot. I know that Minnesota likes to really bring the pressure, but Caleb Williams has been pretty good this year. Still not overly expensive, $5,900 on DraftKings. I think that's a really good price for him, and really not getting a whole lot of ownership. So he's another guy that I like. And then I also like Sam Darnold on the other side of the Rams game. We've seen Darnold have some pretty good performances this season, not as consistent week to week, but he's had some where he's popped. And I think in this game, I think the Rams are going to put up points. Darnold's going to have to push the ball down the field like Sam Darnold on the other side of the Rams game also.
Love that Darnold call. I'm getting to some of him as well. What do we think about Jameis Winston today? Because we already have multiple questions in the YouTube chat about some Jameis.
I mean, Jameis is probably the best passing quarterback the Giants have had, even though they kind of, Russell Wilson just kind of got kicked to the curb. But, I mean, Jameis is going to sling the ball. He is who he is. You live with the turnovers, but he probably helps them score some points today. That's my read. I mean, when has Jameis not pushed the ball down the field? Never. So that's coming today, I think, for this Giants offense. And just as an aside, hopefully I didn't cut Kyle off, but as an aside, these teams like to play inspired when the coach gets fired. That's like, I don't want to call it, narrative street, but I guess it is a little narrative-y, if you will. Coach fired, Jameis starting. I'm looking for the Giants to put up some points.
big wins in that game and going up against one of the toughest defenses. I got 0% Jameis in 150 lineups.
Listen,
Kyle,
man,
you getting any of them?
Here's the reality of the situation. Kyle, the Packers lost to the Panthers. They can lose to anybody. Okay.
They can lose to anybody, but I think if they lose, it'll be because the game is 7-6. That's kind of my thought process.
Yeah, I think what will be interesting to see is because obviously everywhere Jameis is gone, he's just been a gunslinger. So I think for me, it's more so: are the Giants going to adapt to that, or are they going to maybe more so look to run the ball? Obviously, they have Tracy and Singletary; they don't mind getting the ball too. So I think it could be an interesting adjustment period for Winston. Like, if from a fantasy perspective, like, is he going to play that role where you're just going to throw the ball 50 times a game? I'm not 100% sure there. So I probably would just feel a little bit more comfortable with some of these other cheap guys, especially with Winston being in that bad matchup there against Green Bay. But we all know Winston has the tournament upside, so I don't mind if you're doing 150 to maybe get some there.
I could be totally wrong on this as well, but I do feel like people have a little bit of a clouded view of Jameis Winston from who he was early in his career. Coming like as a Saints fan who watched a ton of him when he played for us, he wasn't that guy at all. Like, he wasn't that, let's just fire it down the field at all times. He kind of hasn't been that for a few years. And so, I don't know. I'm on the off Jameis side, but we've seen him do some crazy things before. I could absolutely be wrong, and it could be a big Jameis day. Let's go over to the running back position. Chief, I'll throw it to you first for this one. We got Jaylen Warren and Chase Brown projecting for some really big chalk in really good spots. You eating that chalk today? You looking to pivot?
I think I'm going to eat it because I'm going to be a little different in other places. Quite frankly, I'm just clicking Christian McCaffrey first and figuring out how to build my lineup around him. So Christian McCaffrey was the first person in for me, like, period. So that's where I am. I think Purdy, being back in the fold is actually going to help McCaffrey be better, which is crazy to say, but I think he's even better now because I think this offense may even be able to move. Like, Mac Brown was fine. Mac Jones, excuse me. I said Mac Brown, old coach of the former coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels in Texas before that. Mac Jones was fine with this offense, but I still think Purdy's better and it's going to help him. So he was my first click in. Especially when we're not getting as much ownership on him this week. Obviously, he's way more expensive, so that helps. Chase Brown at 5,700 and Jaylen Warren at 61. Really cheap prices. So I'm by no means am I telling anyone to not play Chase Brown or Jaylen Warren. I'm just saying McCaffrey's my first click where we're getting a little bit lower ownership this week. Somebody else that I like also that's getting much lower ownership but has been a really good fantasy player is James Cook. This is a guy that's been spectacular most of the season. And today, TJ, we're getting, much lower ownership than we've seen on him. So he's another guy that's kind of, let's get off the chalk a little bit, spend up a little bit more, be different. Totally like James Cook. Bijan, another one. All these expensive guys just they're not getting the ownership this week. And that really has me intrigued, quite honestly. Like, these guys that can really nuke a slate. And we're just saying, hey, let's play Jaylen Warren and Chase Brown. And not that I won't play them, but I'm spinning up.
All right. Kyle, how about you? Who you playing in at running back today? I feel like it's pretty easy to just go in cash, play Jaylen Warren and Chase Brown together, and then McCaffrey, you can still play at flex, but that's kind of more in the JSN Jamar Chase conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a roster construction question, not necessarily like the players. It's just there's so many running backs in this 5 to 6K range that are all really good plays with a lot of really projectable volume. So it's more so, do you want to allocate your salary at running back or receiver? I think there's more upside at the receiver position probably. For me, I'm not really spending up at running back a ton. I just think that there is so much, value in this mid tier. I think from a cash perspective, Jaylen Warren is in a great spot. He's projecting for a lot of ownership. I think you probably follow the field there. But for tournaments, you have 4, 5, 6 pivots. I mean, you're talking about guys who you can make cases for. Obviously, I think Warren's ceiling is probably a little bit more consistent than a lot of these guys, but would you be surprised if RJ Harvey catches, 5, 6 passes and falls in the end zone 2 times, even though he's in a bad matchup? You have a lot of guys like that. Kamani Vidal, Travis Etienne, Aaron Jones, all these guys are all projected for like half of the Jaylen Warren ownership. So while I love Jaylen Warren, I think he is the cash game running back of the day. Maybe I'm not playing as much of him in tournaments just because there are so many pivots in that range. Even if you want to go up $700 for Rico Dowdle, you can do that. One of my favorite plays of the day is Woody Marks here at 5-4. Got a lot of praises from D'Amico Ryans on the podium this week, talking about how he's not really a rookie anymore, so they're expecting more volume for him. And Nick Chubb is just not it anymore. He's not a viable runner, especially when you have Woody Marks, who every time he touches the ball is making plays. So I think D'Amico Ryans is going to learn quickly that Woody Marks is going to help his team a lot more than Nick Chubb is in their current state. Throw it back to week 4 against the same Tennessee team when Woody Marks had his breakout game. I think it was like 28 DK points. Yeah, 27.9, 17 carries, 69 yards, a touchdown, 4 catches on 5 targets and a touchdown on 50 receiving yards. Like, Woody Marks is in a smash spot here. Davis Mills under center, still 5.5 point favorites. So everything is going right for Woody Marks. He's my favorite play at the running back position today. And you have a couple other guys you can also make cases for in this mid-tier range. Obviously, Tyrone Tracy in a brutal spot, but he also got some positive remarks from the offensive coordinator there. So maybe we see him get more involved. RJ Harvey is another play that I like quite a bit. Kind of reminds me of Trayvon Henderson from last week, where rookie running back with a ton of talent and a lot of potential, stuck behind a running back. Now he's going to run into that RB1 role. Bad matchup though, so people aren't necessarily jumping to play him. But he could easily break a couple long ones like Henderson did last week. Could easily have 5 or 6 catches. So RJ Harvey and Woody Marks, both at 5-4, 2 of my favorite plays of the week.
I want to throw this to both of you. We have a question from Carolina guy in the Discord. Rank your favorite running backs on FanDuel. So from a point per dollar, most likely to play. Chief, I'll throw it to you first. Give me your 3 favorite running backs on FanDuel.
He's expensive, but I know I keep saying that I like McCaffrey, so I like McCaffrey this week. I think James Cook is in there for me. Kyron Williams also is in there for me. I know we said 3. That's at the top. You did say 3 expensive, right? Or 3 favorite?
Just 3 favorite overall.
Okay, so McCaffrey, James Cook, Warren on the chalky side.
Kyle, how about you?
Yeah, I think on FanDuel, I do still like Jaylen Warren quite a bit. I think he has a nice, he's one of the guys who I would probably peg as multi-touchdown scorers on the board. So I'd say Warren, Aaron Jones, and then I think on FanDuel specifically, I probably lean Christian McCaffrey, even though a little bit more expensive, but with that particular scoring, I like McCaffrey quite a bit.
Chief, straight up, do you want Chase Brown or Rico Dowdle?
Man, I think I want Chase, but Rico's going to get so much work. Give me Chase, though.
And then Kyle, DK Cash, would you go Woody Marks or Aaron Jones?
For cash, I'm still going Aaron Jones.
All right. Kyle, take me to the receiver position. Who are you getting to over there?
Yeah, Jamar Chase is priority for me. Love him in this spot. We saw what he did against this Pittsburgh team on Thursday night a few weeks ago when he had 23 targets. Tough to project that again, but this Pittsburgh defense is just not the same as the one we've known over the past decade or so. So either Jamar Chase or JSN or Puka, I think one of those 3 guys you're really building around and you're feeling pretty good about it. I love Drake London in this spot against Carolina. The Falcons have clearly found something with working around him in the passing offense. I don't know why it took so long. I know they did it at times last year. I know we've seen it at points this season. But the first month or so, maybe a month and a half, they were not really relying on him as an alpha receiver the way that they should have. I think they're going to finally learn that and stick to that. Ladd McConkey, I also like quite a bit at 6'5". It definitely depends on who you're playing elsewhere in your lineups. With Ladd, if you're playing Gadsden but not Herbert, you're probably not playing McConkey. But stacking wise, McConkey is definitely my favorite receiver. Wandale at 5'5". I'm a little worried about his ceiling here against the Packers, but I think Jameis is going to key in on him. We know Jameis likes to key in on one receiver, and he's always liked his slot guys, so I like Wandale quite a bit at 5'5". Those are some of my favorite point per dollar plays. Michael Wilson at 3.8, Josh Palmer at 3.3 I like, even though there's some bad weather there. Keon Coleman officially healthy scratch, so they have to be feeling pretty good about Josh Palmer's health. Like him quite a bit. Greg Dortch, I know you mentioned him, TJ. So those are probably my favorite value guys here.
Kind of crazy to me that Michael Wilson is still chalk on FanDuel where he's 5,500. Like that to me should be a DraftKings only play. I would way rather get to even at chalk Wandale Robinson or Parker Washington, Ricky Pearsall for similar prices on FanDuel than a Michael Wilson. I think that's a DK only. How would you rank those? Like who would be your top 3 sub 4K receivers, Kyle, on DraftKings?
Wilson, Palmer, Dortch, and then probably Darnell Mooney or Zacchaeus. But I feel really good about those first 3. The fourth one's a little bit more iffy.
All right, Chief. How about you? Who do you like at receiver today?
Yeah,
I guess first question I would throw to you: how are you prioritizing Jamar Chase, JSN, Puka Nacua?
Oh, that's a great question, PJ. Aren't they all just the same with a different quarterback? Like I know it sounds like I feel like they're all the same. Any of them can have 15 targets legitimately. I think for me in this particular case, got to go with the gunslinger Joe Flacco. I hate to be so chalky, but for me it's Chase, Puka, JSN. I do feel like Puka and Jamar Chase have the best supporting cast around them at receiver, but I still think Jamar. I agree with Kyle here. Even outside of the Pittsburgh game, like he's still just going to get so much volume. So Jamar, Puka, JSN for me, but I don't think you're wrong no matter who you decide. I will say JSN is projecting fairly well to like really well for what it's worth, but I do like Jamar quite a bit. As we get down into this interesting mid-range here, I do like Ibuka quite a bit. I like Nico Collins a lot more, I think, than I should. But I really like him today at 6,700. Feels like a good spot for him. Rome, obviously, another receiver that has picked up a fair amount of targets this season and is, looking like the guy there in Chicago. So I don't hate him either. There's just so many guys. I think the way you feel about running back, Kyle, is kind of how I feel about receiver, which is probably why we're just swapping salary. When we got these 5K guys like the Troy Franklins, the Jawan Jennings, another favorite of mine in that same game. I like the 5K range at receiver quite a bit today. And then obviously I don't have to sell you on these cheap guys from Arizona. So really, really like that range today from, let's call it Romo Duze down. Like even T. Higgins, I think T. Higgins is a great play today at 6K. So, Cortland Sutton, another one. Just, man, a plethora of options. I wish DK Metcalf was getting real volume, but, man, something like that may show up today. Who knows? But just the 5K range looks incredible.
All right, let's make the pivot over to tight ends. 2 other cheap darts I'll just throw out there. My favorite, Luther Burden, and then another one I'm playing in some Josh Allen teams, Gabe Davis, activated for this game. And he's done nothing in years. He's probably not very good, but he's 3,500. They've played together before, and the only time Gabe Davis has ever had success is with Josh Allen. So I am getting to just a touch of him, like 4% in 150 lineups. And then my main guy today is JSN. I have him in 50% of my lineups today. tight end spots. Speaking of main guys, I actually am playing 80% Trey McBride. I didn't quite lock button him, but I'm throwing him in almost every single one of my lineups. I got him in 80% of 150. Will, who you playing at tight end today? What are you doing with Trey McBride?
Yeah, plugging in Trey McBride. And you guys are probably hearing that and like, how are you able to play all these expensive people? Well, once again, the 5K wide receiver range is great. Throwing a 3K crapper, as our illustrious leader Dan Bott used to call them, the 3K crappers. You throw in one of those guys, and lo and behold, this lineup's opened up pretty well. But I'm all in on McBride today. Pray for me. I have loaded up so much McBride. It's not even funny. Borderline avoiding all the cheap stuff and just saying, hey, I'm going to play McBride and dare you to beat me with somebody else.
Kyle, how about you? Are you loading up on McBride as well, or are you looking to make some pivots?
Yeah, it's pretty much all McBride for me. I have like 4 tight ends in my pool. It's McBride, Gadsden, Jonnu Smith as like a punt option, and then I have a little bit of Theo Johnson as well at 4-1. Again, maybe just banking on if Jameis does sling it around, but again, like even at 4-1, I think Theo Johnson is pretty touchdown dependent, and I do like Gadsden a lot more in that range, but at 4-1, I have a little bit of Theo Johnson, but yeah, it's a lot of McBride for me. I mean, the way I feel about it is if McBride was at receiver at 6'3", I'd be slamming him into lineups as well. He's just unreal. I think that price is way too cheap. I know people kind of look at tight end as, oh, you're paying up a little bit here at 6'3", and you're likely only playing one unless you're playing one in the flex. So there's some opportunity cost here compared to receiver. You can play 3. But I mean, at 6'3", if he was a receiver, he would be an elite play. So yeah, he's projecting for almost 19 DK points. So yeah, he's a smash.
So yeah, that's very similar to how I feel as well. Most of my lineups that I'm getting to another tight end are in doubles where I'm just playing 2 of them. But 80% McBride. The only other guys in my pool are Dawson Knox, Gadsden, Andrews, Jonnu Smith, Elijah Higgins, the other. That's my favorite punt, the other Arizona tight end. And then I think I did mix in some Freiermuth, and to just because of Beimfohr's call, I threw a couple Haws into my Josh Allen teams. Defense, play any of them. Play whoever fits your lineup. Having said that, I do think there might be some really good spend up options today on defense. My favorite would be the Texans, followed by the Packers, but the Ravens are great too. Kyle, who are you prioritizing in defense today?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely depends on who fits. I'm pretty heavy on Houston today. Like, not their defense, but I think Houston covers this and wins this game pretty easily. I mean, Houston is a great defensive play. Tennessee, they might not score. That team is horrible, and I think Houston does have maybe the best defense in the NFL, certainly top 3, top 5. So at 3-7, Houston defense is fine. I think they cover this game, but you still have Davis Mills, backup quarterback on the road. So I don't mind Tennessee as well. That game looks like it could have very little scoring, 37.5 over under in that game. So Texans defense at 3-7 is probably the preferred spend up for me. Tennessee defense at 2-3 is probably the preferred punt, but again, probably not doing that in lineups where I have, Woody Marks or Nico Collins. Don't mind the Chargers defense. We know Trevor Lawrence can be turnover prone. Don't mind Green Bay defense as a spend up option as well. We know Jameis Winston can certainly be turnover prone. And I guess the last defense I'll throw out there as a spend up is Baltimore with that, severe weather game, and Dylan Gabriel, and obviously Baltimore defense can be hectic as well. So those are probably the defenses I'm looking at most.
Titans probably the cash defense this week on DraftKings, where they're the minimum price and the projected highest owned. I do like, if I'm going with a low price pivot, I like the Browns. I don't mind the Buccaneers in that wind. I don't mind going to a really good defense like the Broncos or the Seahawks, even though they're in a really tough matchup. Chief, who are you going to at defense today?
Houston, more Houston. Sign me up. It's just, I mean, man, I hate playing chalk defenses, but how in the world is Tennessee? I think Cal said it best. You may have the worst offense in the NFL versus the best defense in the NFL. And obviously that means Cam Ward is now going to be Dan Marino. But I'm playing Houston.
All right, Chief, give me your top 3 favorite stacks. Then we'll start taking some questions. I'll go to the RotoGrinders live stream Discord chat first. So get your questions in there. I'll go to the YouTube chat second. YouTube, make sure you're hitting that like button for us. Very easy to do. Just bring your mouse, give it a little click. You're watching on your phone or tablet. You got to press the little X, hide the chat, then give it a little like button. Helps us out majorly. Chief, who are your top 3 stacks today?
Rams, Seattle, San Francisco.
I got the Cardinals triple stacks, number 1. After that, it's a pretty even split for me among the 49ers, Chargers, Bills, Vikings, and Bengals. How about you, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm going to go Cardinals, Chargers, and then I will also go with the Niners.
All right, time to start taking some questions. Let me see here. Discord, we got some people typing, but no new ones coming in yet. DK Cash, Kyle, JSN, Parker Washington, or Wandale and Jamar Chase?
I'll take Wandale and Jamar Chase.
Any love for Dalton Schultz and Josh Jacobs today, Chief? 2 guys that don't really have anything to do with each other, but individually, what do you think of them?
Like Josh Jacobs, perfectly fine with Dalton Schultz. He's cheap. I'm still playing a ton of McBride, though.
Kyle, what do you think about pairing McBride and Gadsden together today?
I think it's fine. I mean, like I said, if you were playing McBride at 6'3" at the receiver position, I think that would be fine. And I do think that when you're looking at the price range for Gadsden of receivers, and that he's 4'6" on DraftKings, he would project as the best receiver 4'6" and under. So I normally don't love double tight ends, but with those 2 guys, I'm willing to make an exception there. And you can even throw George Kittle in that equation as well.
One of my best weeks this year was double tight end too, Kyle. I got on oh my God, our boy in Miami. Like I caught him the week. I think he scored 2 or 3 touchdowns or something like that.
Yeah, Waller.
I played him. Yeah, I played him at tight end and played another one, and both had like 20. So I get it, you know.
Chief, what are your thoughts on Joe Flacco this week?
I think he's fine. I think, you know, everybody keeps talking about it, but it is true. One of the highest paid defenses in the NFL, but they still can't really stop anybody. So I don't mind him at all.
Aaron Smith, Kyle, is asking about, I don't know if this is JJ McCarthy or Justin Jefferson, but some right hand issues. Do you have any injury worries among Minnesota's offense?
No.
Yeah, that's my same thought process as well. Favorite late swap, if behind after 1 p.m., I would say switch Michael Wilson to Dortch because Michael Wilson will be way higher owned. And then if you have Christian McCaffrey at the flex, maybe make the pivot to a Jackson Smith and Jigba. On DK, do you want Aaron Jones and Addison or T. Higgins and Kittle, G?
Kittle side.
Kyle, who is the high-owned receiver today who's going to pull in a Dunze and Bagel? Or if not Bagel, bust?
I mean, unfortunately, I'd probably have to say the most likely person to do that would be Michael Wilson, just because he's not that great of a player. But, you know, I think I do like Michael Wilson, but if I had to pick someone to fall into that category, it'd probably be him.
All right. Favorite FanDuel stack, GPP. Is that the Rams for you, Chief?
Yeah.
How about you, Kyle?
I'd probably say the Niners in as like a low owned play, or maybe even the Falcons. Like I think Penix to London could be a pretty exciting stack here.
All right. JJ McCarthy is wearing a wrap pregame. I don't think that matters. Amari DiMercado versus Jacoby Myers versus Zay Flowers. Straight up non-PPR, Kyle.
I guess Flowers.
I actually kind of like a sneaky Amari DiMercado this week. I got a few DiMercado lineups with my Brissett or Purdy in 150 today. Not a lot, like 3%, but just like a touch of them.
Is that a season-long question? Are those guys even?
I think that was a season-long question.
Yeah, those guys. Yeah, I think you got to play Zay there.
Yahoo for cash, Green Bay defense and DK Metcalf, or Vikings defense and Juwan Jennings. I really don't like DK Metcalf this week. Kyle, who do you like there in a cash setting? Green Bay and DK or Vikings and Jennings?
In cash, I think in cash, Jennings is probably safer.
Agreed there. QQ FanDuel cash. I have 6,300 for my last receiver. I already have Wandale. Who's the guy? Chief, you got a 6,300 or less receiver you like on FanDuel?
One second. In my head, I think it's one person, but I don't think they're going to quite fit it. Give me a second. I'll let you know.
FanDuel cash, I think maybe Juwan Jennings.
Yeah, 6,200. I can dig that. In my head, I was thinking T, but T 6K on DraftKings. So I knew that wasn't right.
Jennings, Franklin, Shakir, I think are all okay.
I'll throw Ted McMillan out there at 6'2". He'd be my pick.
Ted McMillan, there you go.
You know what? I don't hate Jacoby Myers at 5,900. I don't hate Jacoby Myers at 59.
I actually think I like PJ. So we all gave you a different answer, but a lot of good options in that range at the very least. Next one we got Palmer or Dortch? DK GPP, Kyle.
Palmer who?
Dortch.
In tournaments, I'll take Palmer there. I think he has a higher ceiling.
Thoughts on DiMercado revenge versus the 49ers? Well, gonna be honest, I didn't know that DiMercado.
Yeah, I don't care about it.
Is that revenge? Did he drop? Is that the team he dropped the ball on, or was he on the Niners?
I don't know. Maybe that was the team he dropped the ball on.
I'm pretty sure he's a Niner for life. He probably dropped the ball against the Niners, and in that case, I don't know if that's much revenge. He might actually have PTSD against them.
Chase Brown and Giants defense, or Woody Marks and Bears defense. FanDuel GPP. Chief.
Chase Brown side. Chase Brown side.
Dobbs and Shakir. Oh, sorry, that was somebody answering somebody else's questions. Leave us to answer the questions, people. That's otherwise I can't read them. Michael Wilson versus Zay Flowers. I assume that is a season long as well. You go Zay Flowers, guys. Come on, it's Zay Flowers. You're not playing Michael Wilson over Zay Flowers in your season longs this week. It looks like we have run out of questions. And so I think it is a perfect time to tell you that if you want to play something other than NFL, get yourself some Combo Pro, because the first month is only $5 more than the NFL package, $79.99. That's a $40 discount. You get NBA, NFL, NHL, college football, PGA, and more. Get yourself some Combo Pro. Or if you just want to check out some NFL for without the commitment, you can get yourself a 3-day pass for only $9.99. That's 50% off for a limited time. Get yourself a 3-day pass here at RotoGrinders and smash that like button for us on the way out. Chief, who is breaking the slate today?
Oh, man. Man, give me James Cook. Once again, he's one of those guys I like. Hasn't popped. James Cook, man, braced the slate today against the Buccaneers. Along with
Kyle, how about you?
Woody Marks.
We got Woody Marks. We got James Cook. He's not actually that chalky, so I don't feel bad about doing it. I'm going to go Jackson Smith and Jigba. That's my guy today. I got him in over 50% of my 150 lineups. I'm going all in. If you want a cheap option, I'm going to say Greg Dortch. Greg Dortch, the pivot off of Michael Wilson or paired with him today. I love me some Jacoby Brissett. Stacks. FanDuel utility position, or I guess a flex, and I don't know the site. 6,300 less at the flex spot, but they didn't specify a site. So I would say Jalen Warren or T. Higgins as the backup on FanDuel if you already have, or on DraftKings if you already have Warren, and then on FanDuel 6,300 flex, I would say Woody Marks. That's Kyle's guy today. I like Woody Marks at that price tag a lot on FanDuel. Yeah, and he did say FanDuel. So yeah, there you go, Woody Marks. If you're stacking the Rams, are you playing Adams and Puka and a run back? So how are you stacking up the Rams today, Chief? Are you playing both Adams and Puka, and then do you have a run back?
No, I can't, because in a lot of those I'm getting JSN the other side, if that makes any sense. So Darnold, JSN, Devontae, Kyron, and then cheap stuff. And then the same thing kind of Stafford, Puka, JSN, cheap stuff. You get what I'm saying? Like that's
yeah. Picking one of the Rams receivers and then with a run back.
Yeah.
All right, I like it. We have officially reached lock. Thank you so much for tuning in today, everyone. I see we got Tina asking in chat if I'm going to be watching my Saskatchewan Roughriders in the Grey Cup tonight. I'll probably be tuning in for sure because I haven't watched much this year. Even though I was a huge fan as a kid, I haven't watched much of this year, but I probably will tune into a bit of the Grey Cup. But I'll also be on the Sunday Night Football pre-lock show, breaking down tonight's Sunday Night Football game with Chiefs. So stay tuned.
Good game tonight.
More football content coming for you tonight. We got a great game on deck, so stay tuned. Hit that like button, hit the notification bell. Make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on any of our content. That'll do it for today's show. On behalf of, I didn't have the credits, guys. I didn't have the credits yet. I still got to download them.
Man, oh man. What are we going to do about you, TJ?
I don't know. Absolute rookie move. It's not like I've been here for 4 hours or anything sitting at my computer and could have done it already. But I guess that's what happens sometimes, slips through. Kyle.
Well, when your cat's unplugging your microphone half the time, I understand.
Exactly. It's just a few too many things happening at once. We got all these
shady shadow. That's what somebody called your cat today. There's a shadow being shady. Shady shadow.
Shady.
He's trying to disrupt the broadcast.
You are absolutely right. And you know what? It's not my fault because Steve didn't send me them. And so it's not actually my fault. But that'll do it for today's show. We will see you later today. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. On behalf of myself, Will, and Kyle, peace.